will deliver. On May 19th, join me in voting for Katherine Robertson for Attorney General.
Paid for by Robertson for Attorney General, P.O. Box 50063, Birmingham, Alabama 35253.
Hunger doesn't always look the way you think, but it's closer than you realize. On Saturday, May 9th, join the Budget Bites battle at the Heart of Alabama Food Bank and turn awareness into action. Teams will go head-to-head, creating a full meal for $5 per person or less in just 60 minutes. Every $1 raise provides 5 meals for neighbors in need. Now we need you. Register your team today at hafb.org. Deadline is May 2nd. Be part of the solution. Cook with purpose. Fight hunger one meal at a time.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. For tough, good-looking roofs, it's Tamco Shingles from Alabama Wholesale Lumber. For great folks and great prices, call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather. We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid-40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Delray Publix.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
I have a sad story to tell you. It may hurt your feelings a bit. Last night when I walked into my bathroom, I stepped in a big pile of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen. I think I'll break off with my girlfriend. Her antics are queer, I'll admit. Each time I say, darling, I love you, she tells me that I'm full of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen. Our baby fell out of the window. You think that her head would be split. But good luck was with her that morning. She fell in a barrel of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen. An old lady died in a bathtub. She died from a terrible fit. In order to fulfill her wishes, she was buried in 6 feet of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen. When I wasn't friends with the army, one day I looked into my kit. I thought I would find me a sandwich, but the darn thing was loaded with shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen. And now, folks, my story is ended. I think it is time I should quit. If any of you feel offended, stick your head in a barrel of shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always look keen.
Calling all stations. Clear the air lanes. Clear all air lanes for the big broadcast.
It is the big broadcast. Happy Hour with Greg and Pamela on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACB. Pamela will rejoin us tomorrow. In the meantime, we've got a really special show lined up. I hope you'll stay with us. David Blackman at 3:30.
And here they are.
Wow, big day on the market today, too. Thank you for the welcome. And lots to talk about with David Blackman. Brant McDonald's going to join us early to accommodate a guest we will be very privileged to have in the studio. A man who's being honored at the Gathering of Eagles event, Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired, and among his many achievements was surviving 2,700 plus days as a POW at the Hanoi Hilton. I can't wait to hear about how he survived that and then went back to serve even longer. This is a remarkable human being we're going to have in our studio today. Of course, David Blackman is also remarkable for many reasons. Me, I'm just a Hawk Show toast in Montgomery, Alabama, who maybe at times has a clue we have a call. I don't know who it is, but good afternoon. Anybody there? No, of course not. Why would there be? It's going to be that kind of a day, I could see. The market had a huge day. I'm not sure what drove the indexes upwards. I'm always glad to see it. That's good for everybody. David will also give us additional insights on, I noticed that the gas station I monitor was up over 4. And this obviously needs to end quickly, but one of the questions I will have for Brant is about some of the numbers that came out today. Personal income grew by double what they expected. The inflation numbers didn't look too bad, but the gross domestic product wasn't quite what they expected. So good and bad. He'll run all of that by us when he joins us in about 3.5 shopping minutes here on News Talk 93.1 FM. So I got a lot to get done before we get with David and we explore the never-ending... God, Jasmine D. Crockett, what a wretched, ignorant woman. Once again, mocking, and this is what gets me, it's the old double standard, once again mocking Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who is wheelchair-bound. She hilariously referred to him as Governor Hot Wheels a while back. That wasn't enough. Now she's done it again. I think what's going on here, this is a panic reaction because we are finally graduating from the belief that you can cure discrimination with more of it. And she and a lot of people that have been elected for no other reason, and dumb. I mean, Hank Johnson, remember him? Guam's going to tip over. How about the woman in Florida who had to resign this week because she stole $5 million in COVID relief money and didn't give it to the poor? Democrats never take care of the poor. They give it to themselves and make their own lives that much better. Just beyond contempt. So we'll talk about that, the ramifications. That Supreme Court decision, in my opinion, may have been the most significant in all the time I've been doing this show. I want to hear what David has to say. Right now, let's see what Skipper's got on traffic.
Well, my goodness, we are starting with 2 accidents this afternoon. I-85 northbound at exit 1. That is right out of the interchange. We have an accident there. And on I-65 southbound, right at the interchange, another accident there. Busy building traffic all over the Montgomery area. Please be safe. We will keep you updated. Registration going on now at Trenton State Community College for summer classes that begin May 20th. That date is fast approaching. Change your life. Go to TrentonState.edu and get all the information. Buckle up with J. Montgomery Skywatch traffic.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. You know, with over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
When it comes to your mortgage, who you work with matters. And this is one decision where local makes all the difference. Don't fall victim to flashy mailers, spam calls, or 1-800 lenders who don't even know your name, much less your neighborhood. Those lenders are often sitting in some faraway state, reading from a script, and chasing volume, not relationships. A local lender understands the market you live in, or should I say that we live in. At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can look at us in the eye and trust us with one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Local lenders don't disappear after closing day. Our reputation is built right here, one family at a time. So before you pick up the phone and call a stranger, remember us, Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon at Alabama Home Mortgage. You deserve guidance from someone who knows the community because they're a part of it. Give us a call at Alabama Home Mortgage today at 334-567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
They really are that good.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. Here in the River region, thousands of hardworking folks will be buying a home, some for the first time. How do you know you are buying the right home? It starts with research. A buyer's agent can help you in your search, providing a list of homes you may not be aware of or know about. At the same time, a meeting with a local lender to find out exactly what you qualify for and how much it will cost at closing and monthly. A list of needs and wants provided to your agent will help them locate properties that match those needs. An example would be bedrooms, baths, school zones, floor plan requests will also help. Start shopping and look at homes and compare and make a list of pluses and minuses for each home. Compare them with your agent to narrow the field. After you work out the contract, appraisals and inspections come next, and then the closing. For more details, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group, 221-2883. That's 221-2883.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1. WACV. News Talk 93.1.
At 3:15, Brett McDonald forsaking his usual time so that we can have uninterrupted time with our very special guest at 5:15 this afternoon. Brent, that is you, Mr. Right on the Money.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, how you doing, man?
I really appreciate the accommodation so that we will be able to hear what our guest has to say. Actually, a book about him, Life and Legacy of the Longest Rescue. And what an amazing story. Can't wait to hear him. Captain William Robinson, U.S. Air Force, retired. And he'll be with us from 5 to 6. So thank you for making the change for us today.
Of course. It sounds like a fascinating interview. I'll definitely try to tune in.
Absolutely. Hope so. It's also nice to have you join us on a day where the market just muscled up and did well. What is behind this?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the broad, sort of landscape, if you will, I do think that things are beginning to simmer down a little bit in Iran. And the market is trying to find its footing in a pathway higher. I do have to say, though, in most of our research, everything that we look at, and believe me, we've done some pretty intensive research. We've been, working the phones for the last several weeks. The longer that this thing goes on, though, in Iran, particularly the blockade, I think there's a real risk here. In fact, I'm becoming more and more convinced of it, that I think we could potentially have an inflation shock over the summer. Particularly as energy costs begin to make their way through producer prices at the wholesale level, particularly over in Asia and other places, because, remember that the United States is largely a consumer-oriented economy. We largely import most of the products, goods that we use every day. And And I think we're going to start to see some evidence of that, of higher energy costs beginning to work their way through this. I think that we can clearly see a path of sort of these, like second and third and fourth order effects as a result of what's been going on in Iran. And it's not just crude oil. I mean, it's the natural gas story. It's, nitrogen, potash, helium. The list goes on and on. These are derivative sorts of resources that are produced in that region of the world as well. And so we have to be really careful. We're monitoring the U.S. Treasury market. U.S. Treasury yields continue to move higher. One of the reasons that we had a little bit of positive reaction today in the market is because the pressure on the Japanese yen was reaching an untenable level to the point that the Japanese had to cave in and really protect the currency. And when you do that, the short-term effects of it are a little bit of relief, in U.S. markets, and you see the kind of the rally that we had today. The other thing that we're really watching closely is, what's going on with China and this upcoming trip by President Trump with President Xi, and the tension between China and the U.S. is really has mounted considerably over the last 6 weeks or so. I mean, it's really gotten to a very high stress level. Everything from the reaction that China has had to this towards America. As one example, this is just one of many examples where they themselves have cut off the export of nitrogen to the United States, as well as potash, which is key ingredients and they're used in fertilizer. We know that for example, this is just one example. U.S. corn farmers that we're coming up on planting season, and their input costs are going through the roof. At the same time, the Chinese have also indicated that they will not be entering into forward-looking contracts for corn, which means that the price of corn out in the out years, or not years, in months rather, could be in some short-term trouble. So U.S. farmers are in some trouble. Now they're doing this type of thing to impact the politics of it all, because if you look at the Polymarket odds, the Polymarket odds recently have President Trump with 30% odds of being removed from office, not just impeached, but actually being removed. Now, in order to do that, you have to have 2/3 of the Senate. So for that number to be at 30% is pretty substantial. And you look at the 32 seats that are up for re-election around the country, many of these states are in sort of that commodity world, farmers, et cetera. And so Trump has got to get a deal struck with China. This is going to be a high-pressure meeting. He's got to strike a deal on soybeans and on a lot of this kind of thing. He's got to bring this home for the farmers. And at the same time, he's also got to deal with protecting Silicon Valley, because, the Chinese continue to steal our technology. You see, Greg, we're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of capital expenditures by the Magnificent Seven and these hyperscalers, where they've been pumping all this money into AI, hiring the brightest coders and engineers out there, billions of dollars. And yet the Chinese have figured out a way to steal this technology by using some technology they created, where they're literally taking the code from people like Anthropic and some of the large AI, and they're putting that out into open source. And this has got to stop. I mean, you're talking about this could potentially, if this doesn't stop, you're talking about probably one of the most substantial misallocations of capital in U.S. history, with all of this money that these companies are pouring in, these capital-intensive business models now. And so this meeting, I could go on and on, but the bottom line is that this meeting with Trump is a big deal. And so you look at all of this stuff that's coming to a head with the issues as a result of supply and demand with oil markets, and particularly how Europe and Asia are being hit super hard with energy prices. You look at the price of Brent crude oil, and you look at the feedback loop of these countries where all this stuff is manufactured and comes into the U.S. So it's still a little early, but we're kind of getting past the point of no return with this, and this is something we continue to watch really, really closely. And the potential for massive market volatility going into May and June is rising at a very, very fast pace. So, and as I said, meeting with G is a big deal. And we can't kid ourselves, right? I mean, the U.S. is technically at war with Russia and with China, and we're not shooting at each other, but it's not a full-blown war, but these are sort of those seismic tremors that you always get before the big quake. And so I hope all-time highs and the valuations are unbelievably stretched and thin. I mean, remember Buffett's indicator, he's always said that 180% of the total stock market value relative to the size of the U.S. economy, when it gets to 180%, that's the red warning stage. Well, right now we're at 250%. That's the highest we've ever been. And so it's just, we're going to be a little cautious here and hope that these things work out, because the kind of, and I'll shut up here in a second, but the kind of inflation I'm talking about, that this one-time sort of shock to the system, we could potentially go as high as double digits, with this oil situation. So we really need to be careful.
All right. Wow. A lot of mixture of good news and bad news. Jerome Powell, by the way, just says, I'll leave the Fed when I think it's time for me to leave. What a piece of work. We appreciate your time and accommodation today. If there's big news tomorrow morning, check in with us at 8:30, please.
We'll do it, buddy. It sounds good.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Invista Advisors, registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Assuming the best and the wind is blowing out today, David Blackman will be joining us next as we explore the idiocracy, starting with that big Supreme Court decision this week.
News is brought to you by Budget Floors and More, your new best friend.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Prattville High School's broadcast media class is qualified to compete at the Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference. The conference is the largest gathering of America's future media workforce and recognizes excellence in technical education. Prattville High School will compete for a national title in Atlanta later this summer. A new community center is coming to Montgomery County. The Montgomery County Commission has broken ground on the center located in District 1. That district includes the City of Montgomery's Woodley Park, Spring Valley, and Cross Creek neighborhoods. The facility will be the first of its kind for Montgomery County to build inside the city limits. The Montgomery Police Department is making history with its first ever all-female canine team. Kira, a narcotics detection dog, is now working alongside Corporal Nicole Holtz on traffic stops and search warrants. In addition to her narcotics work, Kira is the only Montgomery Police search and rescue dog. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Del Rey to Publix.
It's time to show Mom how much you appreciate her with a Jenny Lynn's floral creation for Mother's Day. Skip the grocery store flowers and make one quick call. 285-1000. Roses, lilies, beautiful bouquets, and gift baskets designed just for Mom. Call Jenny Lynn's Creations, 285-1000.
Before you commit to that plumbing repair or upgrade, get a second opinion from Headley Plumbing. Our estimate could save you thousands. We do it all: residential, commercial, and septic tank service, serving the entire river region. No membership, no contract, just fair, reliable service. Call Headley Plumbing at 285-3667 or visit headleyplumbing.com. In our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the river region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
I'm Todd Strange, and I had the privilege of being the mayor of Montgomery 2009 to 2019. As mayor, our top priorities were the safety of our city and community development. Unfortunately, in recent years, violence has raised its ugly head. We all have seen what's happening in our community. More has to be done to ensure the safety of Montgomery. For that reason, I'm backing Republican Katherine Robinson for Attorney General. She has stood tall for Montgomery and said enough is enough. Katherine has worked in the Attorney General's office for 10 years. I've seen her lead and help set up the Montgomery Area Crime Suppression Unit and help pass tough new laws to target gang activity. Katherine Robinson cares about Montgomery, and she will work with Coach Strobel to put an end to violent crime and restore law and order. Katherine will deliver. On May 19th, join me in voting for Katherine Robinson for Attorney General.
Paid for by Robertson for Attorney General, P.O. Box 50063, Birmingham, Alabama 35253.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid-40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Feeling the pressure of high credit card rates? ASE Credit Union has you covered with a low 1.99% APR on balance transfers. Move your balances in March or April and lock in that 1.99% rate through your October statement. Visit ASE Credit Union today. Federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Let's play the Idiocracy National Anthem here. going about their business as usual. I believe we are ready now to go somewhere in Texas. The man with the 10-gallon brain, the one and only David Blackman, blogger extraordinaire, oil and gas industry expert, and makes the show sound far more intelligent than it might otherwise. David, can you hear me? Are we good?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, my God. Everything is working.
Oh, man. How about that? No echoes, no nothing. This is good.
We're on the air.
Now. Yeah.
Somehow I can't get rid of the we'll be right back sign in the background. I don't know why that's there. It seems,
there we go. Look at that.
Another miracle. Before we get started, and there's so much to talk about, Jasmine V. Crockett at it again with Governor Hot Wheels in Texas. You know, she can say whatever the hell she wants. She's a moron. But if he were to fire back and say, you know what, why don't you take your fat ass and do something productive, they'd probably want to hang him for that.
Probably,
the disrespect and the misogyny and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's okay for her, I don't know, because she's a black woman or what, to mock his disability.
Yeah, no, she's done it constantly, and she gets away with it because she's a Democrat. If she was a Republican, obviously you couldn't do it.
No. And she's at it again today, and to what avail? I have no idea why she would be.
It's a mystery to me. I can't even imagine why she thinks it's productive for her, for the party, for anybody to be doing it. But, you know, I'm sure she just is starving for attention. You know, she's not getting a lot of attention from the media.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, she's been used to being in the spotlight for 4 years. And
isn't it funny how that works?
Hardly ever hear from her.
Anybody heard anything from Eric Swalwell lately? Wow.
No, I imagine he's kind of trying to take it pretty low right now. He's got some real problems.
And didn't Hunter Biden leave the country because his lawyers
That's
wanted
yeah. I mean, there's been those reports that he fled the country and went somewhere in Europe. I forget where. Probably Ukraine. That's his second home, you know.
We were talking to our money guy just a minute ago, and he let it drop. Now, I'm not real familiar with polymarket betting, but they've got Trump being removed from office at 30%, likely.
Well, yeah, there's idiots who vote for anything. I mean, bet on anything. He's not going to be removed from office.
Seems like, I mean, I'd like to see things settle in around. Why don't we begin there? Because that stupid gas station I always reference to you, it broke $4 a gallon today.
I was going to say it probably went up another 15 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this the peak? Should we expect them to go a little bit higher before they come down?
No, it's not the peak. No. Just even at the current oil price, you know, prices went down a little bit today. They hit 120 briefly, the Brent price overnight, and is now down around 113. Even at that price, if it doesn't change at all, you still got another 10, 15, 20 cents to be added to the gas price to reflect that oil price. In 2022, we should all remember during that summer when oil prices never got above $120, the average price of gas went to $5.10 under Joe Biden. And that was prices just slightly higher than we have right now. So it takes a while for the oil price, because of the length of time it takes for those cargoes to get to the United States, to be refined, to go into the gasoline system. It takes a while for those oil prices to be reflected at the pump. And even though we have this myth that all the gas stations in America are price gouging, they really don't. And so we still have a ways for gas prices to run up yet.
We've been working together a long time, and
8 or 9 years now, right? Yeah.
Close to 10, I believe. I
Close
think
to 10?
2016 at some point. I was reading the DB Daily Update in those days. And I said, I like this guy. In that time, has there been a more consequential Supreme Court decision? And I remember, waiting for their decision on Obamacare and several other gay marriage, all that stuff. but striking down the race-based congressional districting, this may be the most significant decision of all.
Well, there's
And I
been
wasn't
three,
even
the three most consequential since Trump restructured the Supreme Court with those appointments in his first term were the abortion decision, reversing Roe v. Wade, which was a judicial atrocity.
Yes.
The Loper-Bright case last year that repealed the Chevron deference, and it's complicated to talk about why that's so significant, but it really is. And it's going to just have a dramatic impact on the regulatory state in this country. And then this one, because it's an end to racial congressional districts, which are illegal. I mean, just patently illegal to begin with. The Voting Rights Act, as it was structured, should have never been allowed to stand by the Supreme Court because it was completely anti-constitutional statute. It legalized racial discrimination.
Yes.
And you can say, well, they had good reasons to do it. We were trying to end or make up for decades of discrimination the other way. And that's all true. I get that. But it has, of course, been completely abused now by first by the Democrats for 40 years and more recently by the Republicans. But the drawing of district lines strictly based on which neighborhoods have black people in them and which neighborhoods have Hispanic people, which neighborhoods have white people. That is the very definition of racial discrimination.
Yes.
And it just should have never been allowed. There were other remedies that were possible. And now we're at a point in time where there's 58 members of the House of Representatives right now, and over 35 of them represent white districts. Okay. It's not like you can't elect African Americans to the U.S. Congress. White people are electing them all over the country. So it's just time for that to end. I'm glad they did it. And of course, it's all been used to the Democrats' advantage. There's probably 30 congressional seats now that are going to have to be redrawn because of this decision that are all Democratic House districts. And, it's going to really be a sea change in the ability for the Democrats to get a majority in Congress. It won't happen this year, unfortunately, in time to impact the midterms, but beginning in the 2028 elections, the Democrats are going to have a hell of a time getting a majority in the House.
Right. That's the best news I've heard this whole century. I want to further add to your point. I want to put this on the screen from Representative Josh Williams. I'm a black Republican who currently represents a majority white district in the Ohio State House. And I'm running to represent a majority white district in Congress. The idea that black Americans need special districts carved out just for them is complete nonsense. It's a violation of the law and blatantly unconstitutional. Glad the Supreme Court made the right decision.
Yeah.
I would like to believe we'd see similar comments from Byron Donalds and others who are there to actually represent people and not put on a show. Is this going to help us put an end to the likes of somebody like Ron Johnson, who thought Guam was going to tip over, or that woman in Florida,
Hank Johnson,
Hank Johnson stole
still in Congress.
$5 million, or Al Green, who's a madman. I don't know about Maxine Waters and all. Like her, I mean, she doesn't even live in her own district.
I mean, yes, the answer to that is yes. If you go back and redraw districts to reflect contiguous communities, as the Constitution always envisioned, regardless of race or religion or any other factor, other than these are geographically contiguous communities that have common interests, then yes, I mean, people like Maxine Waters are going to be in real trouble. Jasmine Crockett would have never been able to get elected to Congress, probably. Well, she might have. I mean, who knows?
Do you think this might impact some of the other members of the so-called squad?
It could, I think, impact Rashida Tlaib and in Michigan and Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, because those districts were strictly carved out based on here's the Palestinian community over here. They've all gathered in this area. We're going to make a Palestinian district for Rashida Tlaib.
Nice.
And here's a Muslim district, Somali district for Ilhan Omar. And I mean, I think those are going to be in jeopardy too, if the Republicans are smart and file the right lawsuits and, make sure that Minnesota and Michigan are forced to do redistricting, then yes, I think they will be in real jeopardy. AOC, not so much, because, her district really isn't one of these zigzag districts, that looks like a snake. She's in Queens. She represents the majority of Queens and a couple other communities adjacent to it. And so she'll probably be fine, but those others are going to be in trouble.
Now, there's been some realigning taking place in various states. It's almost like a competition. By the way, the Virginia Supreme Court has not overruled the lower court that tossed that election for their redistricting. That decision still stands, last I checked.
Yeah, and it's going to take another couple of weeks before the Supreme Court gets to a ruling in that case. But the fact that they let that lower court decision stand is a really good indication of where they might be leaning, because they didn't have to do that.
As I understand it, a number of Virginia laws were ignored in terms of timing and other things too, that would put that in jeopardy. But what about impacts for this year? Where will there be any? I know some states have already redone or redistricted, but is any of this going to impact 2026?
Yes. I mean, I think Tennessee has already begun a process of redrawing their districts. Georgia has begun today, started a process to redraw their districts.
Oh.
And so that'll be several more seats. Kathy Hochul in New York says she's going to get New York to do it. But I mean, there's only 4 or 5 Republicans out of 30 something districts in New York to begin with. So, they've already gerrymandered the hell out of that state. And the problem for Democrats is, all of New England's already been gerrymandered. Not a single Republican, even though those states vote 40% Republican, not a single Republican seat in any of those states. Same thing in the Midwest. Illinois is, I think there's 2 Republican districts in that whole state.
Lost.
So there's not a lot of additional meat on the bone for the Democrats to pick at, but there's a lot for the Republicans to pick at.
Yes.
And to force states like Michigan and Minnesota through the courts to redraw their districts as well in line with this decision. So, I've seen people, on X saying, the Democrats will just, they'll just redraw everything. Well, they've already redrawn pretty much everything they can really do that's going to get them anything. So there's just not much left for them, and there's a lot left for Republicans.
And if I had confidence in the Republicans being smart and playing the edge or the advantage they're given, but I would say this blows a major hole. There's 2 really in the Democratic playbook, not only for this year, but moving forward beyond that, because you can't cure discrimination with more of it, which is basically the essence of that Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
But the blue states are driving out there's the woman that's the mayor of Seattle, progressive.
Oh, who's never had a job in her life. She's almost 40 years old. She has never had a job.
But she's progressive.
And she's running the city. She's a avowed socialist running that city.
And just, she participated in the strike against Starbucks, walked with the picketers, wasn't working there, of course. And when she found out that they may leave, Seattle said bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is wrong with the people up there that they don't care? They don't understand how important that is?
Well, and the other thing about all the blue states is they're going to lose at least 14 congressional districts in the census, in the next census, because everybody's leaving their states and moving to our states. And so you start totaling this up from this decision, from the redistricting that's already happened, where Republicans are already in net +9, you're looking at 30 odd seats that are going to end up going from safe Democrat districts to either toss ups or safe Republicans.
Wow.
And that's a lot. That's a big deal.
And of course, the media, you know, they don't spend much time talking about the wealth exodus out of California, out of Washington State, out of Oregon. And pretty soon you're going to be leaving these states in almost a complete socialistic set of governments with no money producers to support their stupid socialistic programs. What are they going to do?
Well, and that's the thing. And you're going to end up with a Republican dominated Congress, you know, for quite some time with, you know, interruptions for 2 years here and there. But those Congresses are going to not be inclined to keep bailing those blue states out over and over and over again. And eventually that's going to force them, those states, to go on an austerity program in their state government. And then that's going to drive out even more people, you know? And so they're headed, I mean, we're headed to a country now where you're going to have wealthy parts of the country in the South, in the Midwest, and in a couple of the Rocky Mountain states, Wyoming and Montana. And then you're going to have these third world country states that are run by Democrats. And that's a recipe for ultimately a division of the country. Because, you know, the states that produce things are going to get sick and tired of supporting their derelict brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And just say, all right, y'all need to go. And that's, you know, I think that's where we're almost inevitably heading right now.
And
because
of course,
the Democratic Party has just gone stark raving crazy.
They are. They really don't. It's just mind boggling. I mean, going back to this woman that's the mayor of Seattle. Here, 40 years old, never had a job, so let's make her the mayor. Let's give her that first job that she needs. What the hell's wrong with the people in these places that they keep doing this? They have a $750 million revenue hole in Seattle, and she's like, I don't know.
She's going to put a tax on wealthy people, and the wealthy people are going to leave, and you're going to end up with a $2 billion hole because all the producers are leaving. Same thing's happening in California.
Yeah.
I mean, Google is about to leave the state now. The CEO's already, the founder and CEO's already left. And, you know, Elon Musk is left, and all these producers, these real producers that produce taxes and revenues for the state government are leaving because it's stupid to stay. I mean, it's not just advisable to leave. You're stupid to stay. And, you know, I mean, these are people who have built businesses and produced things.
Yes.
And understand how the world works. They're not stupid people. So anyway.
It's been a bad week for Karl Marx. We have a call.
Yeah.
I have no screeners, so we'll take them on the fly today. Good afternoon. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Tim.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, sir. So I've been following all this stuff for like years and years and years. That's the question. Where is the money coming from, and where is the dark money? And I stumbled across on YouTube and TikTok the Prometheus group and with Susan Kokinda. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
Promethean Action. Yeah, I've watched some of her videos. Yeah.
It's, I mean, of everything that I've listened to, it just makes entirely so much sense. Where Lloyd is hiding, backing Iran and all this funny money and the insurance for going through the Straits being covered by Lloyd, and then Trump says, "Oh, we'll take care of that." Of everything and everybody I've listened to, That's the only thing that makes sense to me is where's the money? Because it's always about if I'm taking away somebody's money, like with Trump and China, and then COVID, you're starting to take money away from the Chinese government. That we're just going to give you COVID, and then we're just going to screw you over. So, but
right now, I don't know that Iran. Thank you for the call. We're tight for time. I don't know that Iran has a better ally right now than the Democratic Party.
Well, they don't. Well, I guess maybe the Chinese Communist Party, but that's becoming one and the same thing, over time. By and large, it already is. And a Promethean Action, they do these videos. It's a couple of ladies who used to be with, if people remember Lyndon LaRouche, they were part of his movement back in the 80s. Lyndon LaRouche was considered to be a kind of a nut conspiracy theorist. And what have we learned over the last 10 years? That nutty conspiracy theorists just about every week end up being proven right about something. And so,
we're running out of conspiracy theories.
I mean, we're running out of conspiracy theories now. They've all been proven to be reality. And that's why Anthony Fauci's chief assistant is now indicted and about to stand trial for all kinds of crimes committed against this country and really the world for subsidizing the lab in Wuhan. And,
Virtually no coverage on that, by the way, by the legacy media.
None. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero coverage on the evening newscasts about this. But, Anthony Fauci is one of the people that got the Autopen pardons from the Biden White House last January, I guess it was, when he got his. And I think May 11th is the day the statute of limitations runs out to prosecute Fauci for his crimes against humanity that he committed every day during the COVID thing and in the lead up to the COVID pandemic, because he helped cause it. And so I'm really interested to see what happens between now and May 11th if the Department of Justice is going to pursue him and challenge the validity of those Autopen pardons. Because there's no question his pardon was signed by the Autopen, and 1,000 or more were.
Yes.
And there's very little question that Biden didn't know anything about him. Okay. So that's clearly not valid. It's not a constitutional pardon. And I would just love to see Anthony Fauci become the test case for whether those are valid pardons. I really would. Because at that point, when you get indicted like that, the process becomes a big part of the punishment. And this man has profited just incredibly from his position in the government, underhanded profits someone else would have been allowed to take in. He corrupted of approving vaccinations and drugs to profit, and took royalties from big drug companies for expediting approval of their therapeutic treatments that they wanted to call vaccines, which have killed thousands and thousands of people.
Yes. And
didn't prevent anyone from getting. In fact, the rate of getting COVID was higher among people who had been vaccinated than those who hadn't. Okay. That's how fraudulent that all was. And Fauci made millions of dollars on that.
Yeah.
So I
May 11th is a
consider him
key
to
date
be-
then.
Yeah, I think he's the modern day Mengele. And I think if we don't punish him, then shame on us.
Yeah. By the way, somebody, I forget who said it today, the guy that's the acting DA.
Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche. He's getting a lot of good feedback from people who say, wow, you thought Pam Bondi was tough. How about this guy?
Yeah,
no
well,
nonsense.
He's doing a lot of stuff that Pam Bondi didn't want to do. I mean, he's indicting people, and this, he got this second indictment of Comey, and we just had 22 FBI raids.
To the point that you just made about the process for somebody like Fauci.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this on the morning show, and I said, do I think Comey's going to get convicted? I don't know, but here's the thing. He's got to go through the process now.
Yeah.
They can put him on the stand and they can ask him, what does 86 mean? 47.
Right.
They can take him through and embarrass the ever-loving crap out of the guy, whether the jury convicts him or not, and expose him, which needs to happen. He's been so smug and arrogant. I guess he thought this would never happen, but it's happening.
And for anyone who may be feeling sorry for Comey, that he's being abused, that the process is the punishment shouldn't be a thing. This is something James Comey did to thousands and thousands of American citizens while he was at the Justice Department and then as director of the FBI. This was his favorite tactic to punish people whose politics he didn't like.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're feeling sorry for Jim Comey, I would urge you to rethink that, because no one deserves this more than him. And the next guy is John Brennan, who deserves it maybe even more.
Yeah. By the way, I will never forgive Comey for the hours I wasted listening to him reading the 533 counts that he could have charged Hillary Clinton with.
Yeah.
And then said at the end, but no reasonable prosecutor would pursue this. And I thought, okay, now I know what state you live in, the deep state.
Right.
Dave, we got to take our top of the hour break already. We're going to do an umbrella break here covering both sides of the top of the hour. So we'll meet you back at 4:10. Is that okay?
Cool. Sounds great.
All righty, sir. Thank you so much. By the way, if you would like to subscribe to David's excellent blog and get top-notch insights not only on politics, but the oil and gas industry where he has spent his incredible career, go to davidblackman.substack.com and sign up. It is absolutely worth it. Montgomery Men's Health, for guys who are, there's all kinds of things going on, just not feeling like yourself, don't have the usual energy. Somebody calls and says, hey, let's go play some golf. I don't feel like it. Or you sleep and then you wake up and you're still tired. It's just, takes you all night to do what you used to do all night, those kinds of things. Now, part of that's aging, but part of that aging process can sometimes diminish a man's testosterone level. And this is where Montgomery Men's Health can come in. And I wouldn't call it miracles. It's just medical science. This is a medical facility run by a board-certified urologist, powered by Men's Pro, where they can, for $99, get a test that will determine that T level. And if it's low, guess what? It can be fixed and fixed quickly. And then you get to experience the rejuvenation, this renewal. There's a lot of ways to describe it, but I'll tell you what, it's great. If you're dealing with issues like ED, yes, they're all about sexual health as well. ED, PE, and more. And there are new technologies out there that go far above pills, the reliability of pills. And for some guys, they may work occasionally. What? That's not good. It's like gambling. For some, they don't work at all. And some are sold online with ridiculous promises. Ignore all that. Make the call to people that this is what they do for a living. Help men get their life back. 334-440-3663, 334-440-3663, or make an appointment at MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. That's Montgomery Men's Health. SRN News coming up.
Well, we still have an accident West Boulevard at Estate Avenue. Injuries there. Fire department was working that one. And Coliseum Boulevard at Gardendale, minor accident there that is lingering. Please watch out for emergency vehicles. Busy traffic, interstates, boulevards right now. Got a lot of cars, folks getting off work, heading out of Montgomery. Please be safe. We will keep you updated. Haynes Ambulance, there for you both on the ground and in the air. From a simple patient transport to life or death situations, Haynes is ready at a moment's notice. Buckle up, Wendell J. Montgomery Skywatch Traffic.
2026 marks 60 years that hope has had a home in Alabama. At the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches, children who've lost everything through no fault of their own have found something priceless. A safe place to live, a loving Christian family, and the chance to simply be kids again. Here, boys and girls grow up surrounded by care, guidance, and faith, learning right from wrong, learning responsibility, learning they are valued and that their lives have purpose. As the Alabama Sheriffs have believed for 6 decades, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women. These former ranchers are now teachers, parents, business owners, and leaders.
living proof that love, structure, and faith can change a life forever. As the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches celebrate 60 years of serving Alabama's children, you can help ensure the next child has the same chance. Learn how you can make a difference at alabamasheriffsyouthranches.org. 60 years of building lives, and we're just getting started.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
We get a lot of questions about what all we handle at Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. I'm Hannah Grantham.
And I'm Eddie Bader, and we will handle all of your real estate needs.
We handle all your buying and selling needs, from your first home, next home, land, investment property, and even commercial properties.
We do it all and have the experience that shows you what makes us different.
So when you think real estate, think Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. Look us up on Facebook or give us a call at 334-368-6358. And let us show you who you have on your sign matters.
Hey, y'all, Lewis at the Capital Oyster Bar located over here on that beautiful Alabama River. Let's talk about some good times on the river and tell you that this Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, we love bringing these fine shows to town. This week, Mr. Grayson Capps is in town. What a great storyteller. When he sings a song, he paints a picture, and you can almost see what they're wearing. It's almost tell what they smell like. And also, we got Corky Hughes over here on the guitar. If you're a rocker, you remember Black Oak, Arkansas, well, that was Corky out front there for a while. So check it all out at CapitalOysterBar.com or our Facebook page. You'll see we got an outstanding lineup coming in this month. We also got some outstanding food. We got a fryer, a steamer, and a grill. We cook it any way you like it. We rent pontoon boats. All you need is a driver's license and a credit card. We can hook you up with a day on the river. Also got some room in the RV park down here. You can come down here and stay a little while or stay a little longer. So don't forget, Grayson Capps, Corky Hughes, 4 o'clock showtime at the Capital Oyster Bar. It's going to be a good time. You'll enjoy it, I promise.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
At 4:04.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Congress finally ended the historic Department of Homeland Security shutdown, resolving the longest crisis of its kind in American history. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Republicans are working separately to fund immigration enforcement operations. Democrats refused to do that, so Republicans had to agree to separate the two issues, and they will continue to work for separate funding for ICE. This ends the government shutdown with a seemingly unanimous support in the House. The bill can then go on to President Trump this week. A veteran U.S. Senator met this week with the head of the Secret Service to discuss the security incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. They're trying to figure out what may have gone wrong. House lawmakers have approved a 3-year extension of a key U.S. surveillance program. After weeks of infighting in Congress, a large group of Democrats joined most Republicans to pass the bill. On Wall Street at the close, the Dow was up almost 800 points. This is SRN News.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $8 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
All right, we'll return to our tour of the Idiocracy with David Blackman, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body, as soon as we get to Uncle Chi-Chi's shirtless weather forecast just ahead. By the way, news confirmed that the Secret Service agent, or was it a police officer that was hit by the bullet wearing the Kevlar, that shot was fired by the suspect, Alan Cole Thomas, whatever the hell his name is, Have you noticed, by the way, it's been a little bit quiet on him the last 24 hours? In fact, this guy in the news just referred to as a security incident. It was an assassination attempt. Let's get it straight.
Congressman Barry Moore has always delivered for Alabama. As a member of the House Freedom Caucus, Barry Moore earned a score of 100 from Heritage Action for protecting our values. He's helped thousands of Alabama families, fought for our veterans as a veteran himself, and secured millions for infrastructure, first responders, and public.
What the hell?
USA.net.
We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid 40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Delray to Publix.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers.
412, returning with David Blackman. Actually, that may be very inappropriate, David, because, well, this is bad news for Eric Swallowwell, who has apparently hundreds of people who donated to this fool are trying to get their refunds back, and his defense fund is shrinking.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. Now they want their money back. We tried to warn them, didn't we? Yeah, about this guy?
For years. For years and years, yeah.
Right now, the total requested refund amount is over $1.5 million. Oh, good luck. Oh, all the best to you. David, I have the clip of J.D. Vance that you sent. I'd like to play it. It's only a minute long. And I have it right here somewhere. Yes, I do. I'm going to put this up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. This is from Tim Waltz trying to take credit for all the FBI raids.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Tim Waltz is Mr. Law and Order in Minnesota.
Minnesota has claimed some credit for the fraud crackdown in Minnesota. Is there credit to be deserved for the governor?
No, not at all, Will. This is like the arsonist trying to claim credit for the work of the fire department because Tim Waltz let this fraud happen under his watch. Whether he was complicit in it directly himself or just turned a blind eye towards it, we really did not get much help at all from the governor's office. Where we did actually get some help was from some state, local law enforcement officers who we assigned to the federal task force because the state government wasn't doing anything. So all credit goes to people on the ground, the federal officers, the state officers who are working to uncover this fraud. The best part about this for me, Will, is you have, when the president empowered his entire government to go after this fraud issue, I had this question to the Department of Justice. These investigations take a long time. So I was asking myself, how quickly can we start getting into some real investigatory work, court-issued warrants, actually going door to door and finding out what's going on? People told me it would take at least 6 months. We've gone from Nick Shirley's video about the Minneapolis fraud schemes to active, judges issuing warrants for this investigation in a matter of 3 months.
That's incredible. And 22 Somali fraud operations raided by the FBI,
including the Leering
that
Center.
infamous. That has turned up in so many things, along with that unbelievable comment from Ilhan Omar about World War XI. They weren't able to hide that one. And do you think this eventually gets to, oh my goodness, Timmy Waltz? Will we see him face some justice?
I hope so. It should. Obviously, he and the Attorney General there, Keith Ellison, were well aware all of this was going on. There was no way they could not be aware of it. And all of their lower officials were aware of it too. And they let it all happen because these were loyal Democratic voters, and a lot of Somali money was going into Democratic Party election campaigns. And, and that's probably not all the money that was flowing to Democrats from those operations. Let's be honest about that, too. So I would hope DOJ would pursue all this aggressively to its ultimate conclusion, just like they should do in California. But you never know. There's going to be an election in 2028. If it goes all the wrong way, then a Democrat will come in and shut it all down. And that'll be the end of it.
That just can't. I can't. I don't want to think about it. Oh, there's Dr. Fauci's picture on Fox Business. Biden White House ignored COVID shot data. We were just talking about that. Yeah. People killed, hurt, permanently injured. I know some doctors locally who are 100% on board with that. by the way, you mentioned interruptions in the service. Apparently, we're having some internet issues here from our providers, so I apologize for that.
Well, I've had them this morning, and a friend of mine, I was on a podcast early this morning, and he got completely shut off. I mean, it was right as we were talking about this very subject, which seemed kind of odd. But anyway.
Maybe we should find a different subject then.
Yeah. It's like Art Bell. Every time Art Bell, remember Art Bell, the overnight UFO guy? Every time he would start talking about Area 51, suddenly his show would get shut down. I mean, it happened 4 or 5 times.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
By the way, between 5 and 6 this afternoon here on Happy Hour, we're going to welcome Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired helicopter pilot, Vietnam prisoner of war. He's being honored at the annual Gathering of Eagles event. I'm privileged to narrate the biographies for these amazing people. And Mr. Robinson, David, among many other achievements, spent 2,703 days in captivity in North Vietnam and came back to serve the country. This is going to be a very special visit with us today. And our thanks to Colonel Joe Panza for arranging this. And, of course, he's turned that experience into becoming a mentor. Amazing man. We're lucky to have people like that to come by and visit.
Sure are.
Station. Let's talk about Anna Paulina Luna. Would you describe her as a rising star, rising force?
Yeah, she's the anti-AOC. She, people like to make fun of her because she was selected to head up the JFK committee, the assassinations committee. And so people like to call her a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, she's just discovering the truth about the JFK and RFK assassinations. But people like to make fun of her. She's very, very lovely lady. And, she's young and aggressive. And anyway, she had a big win today, a big legislative win today. She led the fight to amend the farm bill, the 5-year farm bill that's going through Congress right now, with language that takes away the liability shield that the companies that make Roundup herbicide and pesticides and herbicides used in the farming industry have always enjoyed. And that's a big deal because by having that liability shield, they end up getting away with an awful lot of pollution and contributing to all kinds of illnesses and deaths that they probably shouldn't get away with. And it'll force, I think, the farming industry to reform itself too, because there's all sorts of alternatives to those chemical solutions now that are not expensive and work just as well. And so there was an enormous victory for the MAHA movement, the RFK Jr. MAHA movement. And it was all done by her, basically. She was the leading force behind it and spent an awful lot of time, jawboning with her colleagues because there was a lot of Republicans that didn't want to support it. She got a lot of Democratic votes in favor of it. It was a bipartisan thing, and good for her. I was glad to see it happen for her because she's one of the real, true, good actors in the House of Representatives. And so it's always good when you see someone like that get a victory on the legislative front.
So we can be guaranteed a couple of things there, that the legacy media will make her seem non-existent.
Right. Yeah.
And any attention she gets will be from news sources that are a little more balanced. The latest Kimmel controversy kind of I don't think he won anything with that. He didn't get fired.
I don't think he did either. But of course, Disney isn't going to fire him.
I don't understand that. They are so. First of all, it's not like the guy draws 30 million people a night to the network. He's an albatross.
Yeah, he's a money loser for him.
And making jokes about a presidential assassination, most fair-minded people, the independents or conservatives, are just at some point going to start asking questions like, this guy's really mentally disturbed.
I think he is emotionally disturbed. Watching him and listening to the things he says and the crying constantly.
Yes, the Grim
Jack,
Reaper, that's his nickname.
Yeah, do you remember Jack Parr, who preceded Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show?
Yes, I do.
He used to cry all the time on the show, and he ended up in an institution shortly after he left The Tonight Show for years.
He had a breakdown on the air, if I'm not mistaken.
He had a breakdown on the air, left the show, ended up in an institution, was extremely mentally challenged and emotionally. And, I just get the same feeling about Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's, there's something really wrong there, whereas what's the other guy's name? Colbert. Yeah. Stephen Colbert. He's just mean. He's just mean-spirited, an ugly personality. I think Kimmel's got real problems and ought to be in therapy. And he may be for all I know, but he obviously needs some help.
Totally. By the way, Colbert will be the next because his show is ending.
Yeah.
And where does he go? Who's going to want him?
Oh, he'll, Comedy Central might bring him back or something. He'll get, how Democrats are. The left is.
Yeah.
They always fail upwards. So, he'll end up somewhere making a lot of money.
Well, there are those that go too far and never come back, like Keith Olbermann, for example. Nobody wants to touch him with a 10-foot pole because he's just insane. But I wanted to use this opportunity. And bringing up Kimmel, I wanted to use this as an opportunity to take us back. By the way, a viewing recommendation for you, sir. And it's a CNN-produced documentary from back when CNN actually used to do news. And it's called Stalker. And it's less than an hour. It's the story of John Hinckley. And in that video, you're going to see things about that event that I promise you've never seen before.
Yeah.
There are so many points to it that were brand new to me.
Where did you find it? Where'd you find it? On Netflix or something?
Well, our weather guy, Rich Thomas, is a avid history student. We're always recommending, because the best stories are those that actually happened.
Yeah.
And he caught it on YouTube.
Okay.
Which is where you can find it. Stalker, the John Hinckley.
Watch it.
That event, which was 45 years ago. Here's something I didn't know. What you're about to hear and see on our clip, that the shooting of Ronald Reagan caused a one-day delay in the Academy Awards. And listen to how Johnny Carson handled it that night.
Can't hear him.
Because of the incredible events of yesterday, that old adage, the show must go on, seemed relatively unimportant. The Academy, ABC Television, and all of us connected with the show felt because of the uncertain outcome, as of this time yesterday, it would have been inappropriate to stage a celebration. But the news today is very good, as you know. The president is in excellent condition at last reports. He's been conducting business.
Listen to that. Hollywood applauding a healthy Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen today.
And he happens to be in very good spirits. After all, you must remember this is a man who yesterday, while he was in the hospital unable to speak, wrote on a sheet of paper, "All things considered, I'd rather be in Philadelphia."
We've seen this over and over and over again. I couldn't to this day tell you which way Johnny Carson may have leaned politically, but that was a class thing to do. And not, defending a joke where Melania looks like the expectant widow.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what's missing from late night TV. That kind of class. Johnny Carson. And I don't think we'll ever see the likes of him again, which is unfortunate for TV.
No, it is unfortunate.
Here's the deal. There's a button, David,
Yeah.
that causes the echo, but if I don't push the button down, you won't hear the audio that's coming through the YouTube feed. So we're working on it. We're going to try and fix that. But we do have a call at 426. Good afternoon. You're on with David Blackman.
Hey, David. Hey, Greg. This is the other Greg that calls occasionally.
Hey.
I heard you guys talking about a CNN documentary, and I just wanted to throw out another one that you might like. It was also done in the 80s or 90s, and it's called The Cold War, and it's a documentary series that CNN did. And one of the coolest parts is they actually interview, like, Mikhail Gorbachev is on there, and Fidel Castro is on there. Like, it's pretty incredible, the people that they pull in, and really informative, and maybe a little bit left-leaning, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. So I just want to throw that out there, what I've heard you talk about the other one.
Well, they used to do some good stuff. I mean, they were the go-to network whenever there was a big breaking story.
They really were for 20 years. Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion. I'm going to add that to my list. I'm making a note right now, Greg. Appreciate the call on that. It is 4:27. David, we have many new listeners after 4 p.m. So if you would, again, give us another take on oil prices being down today, but where they may be going, still way up from February 28th, and the fact that they're likely to go up a little further.
They're going to keep going up. I mean, oil prices will continue to rise because we have a global market that's undersupplied by 10 million barrels a day. So, you're just the traders who need to secure those volumes of oil are going to continue to bid the price up. And today was a little bit of a glitch. And the reason why was because tomorrow on the Brent market, the international market, you go from trading on the June contract to trading on the July contract. And that means the market is pricing in another 30 days where a settlement might happen. They're just hedging their bets that maybe by July 1st, you get a settlement in place. And that's what they're trying to do. So that's why the price dropped today. But when you have a market as undersupplied as this one, there's nowhere for oil prices to go but up. And that means there's nowhere for gas prices to go up at the pump. And so we're at an national average of $4.30 today. A month from now, if we don't get this thing resolved somehow, we might be at $5 a gallon because, that's just the way the market works. And, hopefully there will be some kind of a resolution that's acceptable. But I have to say, I don't think President Trump is going to be willing to just walk away and let the Iranian regime resume what it's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that may take a little longer.
We have a couple of calls. Let's see who we've got. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Steve, I had a question a couple questions for David.
Right here.
Don't they just have, the Iranians, don't they just have a few days to do something, or they will have to cap those oil wells?
Well, their storage is about full. They have all the big storage tanks around their country and on Karg Island, but those are right at full capacity. And when that happens, there's nowhere for the oil to go because they're not able to get ships out of the strait because of the blockade. So that means they're going to have to shut in their production. And the problem for Iran is kind of unique in the Middle East. They produce most of their oil from very permeable, very low pressure formations. And the problem there is that when you shut in those wells, they're likely to start losing pressure. And they may not, you're going to have a hard time getting them back online to produce. And that's going to be a very time-consuming thing that's going to require a lot of expensive stimulation processes to get the wells back online. And some of those wells will never come back online. Others will only come partially back, back to partial production from where they were before you shut them in. The other countries in the Middle East don't really have the same kinds of problems to any great extent. And so that's why this blockade is so effective, and I think why the White House has just decided to wait the Iranians out because, this government can't survive without money. No government can survive without money. And you've cut off 90% of their income just by cutting off their oil flows. And the Treasury Department is freezing all of their international money assets. So, very quickly, the regime is going to run out of an ability to even fund its war effort. And so that's what I think the White House is betting on. And, it'll cost us more money in gasoline, but it's a way they're hoping it's a way to win this thing without risking more American lives. Because yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, and I always look at this from politics, Trump needs to remind American people, bear with me. I'm trying to keep our soldiers from getting involved in this thing and work it out through negotiation and strategy. He needs to sell that to people because all they're going to talk about is how high the price of gas is. And you know what? If you asked half the country, would you rather pay $2.50 a gallon for gas or take the risk that you might get nuked by Iran? They'd rather pay the $2.50. Right. So he really needs to sell the benefits of his current program, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he ought to give another major speech about it, frankly.
Thank you for the call. Let's see who's on line 2. Good afternoon. You're on with David Blackman.
Hey, this is Ron. I was curious to know, why can't we modify our refineries to use the oil we produce?
What's the why we can't modify our refineries to use the oil we produce and bypass this whole system? And
we can, and some refineries have done that, increase their capacity to process the light sweet crude that we produce here. But it's billions and billions of dollars in investments in new plant and equipment, and takes time. And to really convert the industry to where we could just keep all our oil at home would take a decade, and probably $150 billion in investments. And so, it's not an immediate solution. There's no short-term way to do that, unfortunately, because of the way the industry's structured. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I wish and I've been actually advocating in my writing and interviews for that for 10 years, that the industry needed to be more aggressive in converting the refining capacity, because this shale oil is going to be our main oil production for another 30 years from today. And people don't understand just the thing about these reservoirs is there's so much more oil in the ground than the official reports reflect, because we only recover 10 to 15% of the oil in the ground with the first hydraulic fracturing job. And then you go back in and recomplete them and recomplete them and recomplete them for another 30 years and get more oil out. So this is going to be our main quality of oil. And I just wish the refining industry had been more aggressive about converting to be able to refine it.
Well, we were going to be all green. We were going to be driving electric cars.
And that actually, you know what? That had a lot to do with this craze about ESG and green energy and spending all your money on this nonsense. Diverted a lot of capital that could have gone to retooling those refineries.
Trump needs to remind
now we're
people
getting past that insanity and going back to business. So hopefully that'll start happening again in a real way.
All right, we have to take our next break here at 4:35. Let's tease the audience, Dave, with some more good news about how this redistricting process is going to eliminate the seat of one of our favorite Congress critters. I'm smiling. I don't think I've ever smiled more in one show with you than I have today, because there's been so much positive with all the other crises that we cover. Find David Blackman on Substack, davidblackman.substack.com. Subscribe. Be a healthier and better informed person for doing that. And David, we'll see you in a few minutes here at the end of Rich's forecast, okay?
Great.
I'd like to, I don't know if they're going to redistrict Hank Johnson out of a job, but I've got to hear that comment about Guam. This part of the show, get better gas mileage by keeping your car serviced with the teams that Don Duncan has at 4 great locations, tires, anything your car might need, and the best people to partner up with regular ongoing maintenance, or to go to a place and get a diagnostic done when the check engine light comes on, you never have to think. Don Duncan, All-American Auto and Tire, wholesale price tires, top-notch teams, and people that will help you accommodate your service by getting you back to work or your home or wherever you need to be while they're working on the car. Locations high atop Mount Duncan. That's the hill behind McDonald's on Highway 14 in Millbrook. Also in Millbrook on Cusada. Downtown at 408 Madison and Bell Road with Doug Mitchell and his group. Just north of Vaughan Road on Bell. Don Duncan, All-American Auto and Tire. We've got traffic with Skipper, 1819 News next.
Well, we have some new accidents. First of all, Atlanta Highway right near Walmart. Please watch out for emergency vehicles there. Also, Taylor Road at Halcyon Summit Drive. That's going to be right near AUM, right before I-85. We had 3 lanes closed there at one point and a big backup in traffic. We're hoping that is beginning to move a little bit. We also have a brand new accident. I-85 northbound at South Union. 2 lanes are blocked there. Please keep it here. We'll keep you updated. Very busy everywhere this afternoon. Registration going on now at Trentham State Community College for summer classes that begin May 20th. That date is fast approaching. Change your life. Go to trenthamstate.edu and get all the information. Buckle up. Wendell J. Montgomery Skywatch Traffic.
This is brought to you by Adams Motorsports of Montgomery, where your pleasure is their business.
1819 News.
The chairman of the Alabama Republican Party is praising the recent ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court when it comes to the state of Louisiana creating race-based congressional district maps. Chairman Scott Stadhagen says the High Court justices recognize that the Voting Rights Act was designed to stop intentional racial discrimination, but not force districts to be created based on race. Stadhagen says that he hopes the courts will immediately apply this new ruling to the case in Alabama, where congressional districts are then created with fair and constitutional standards. He also says he wants to see the congressional map that was drawn up by state lawmakers back in 2023 prevail over the current map in place that was created by a 3-judge panel in 2024. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
The search of a landfill in Coffee County will get underway in the first week of May for a missing 2-year-old girl. The mother of 2-year-old Genesis Reed is now being charged with murder of her daughter. Adrian Reed reported her little girl missing in March of this past year. Enterprise Police Chief Michael Moore says the search will be in a narrowed down part of the Coffee County landfill. 60 searchers along with heavy equipment and trucks will be deployed in this search. A search is currently underway in Mobile County for a fisherman who disappeared off the Cedar Point Pier on Wednesday night. The 19-year-old fell off into the currents when he was trying to untangle a fishing line. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
AdamsMotorsports.com on the web, or Adams Motorsports on the Boulevard in Montgomery. That's at Adams Motorsports in Montgomery, where your pleasure is our business. Come by and learn more about the new Suzuki GSX 8R motorcycle and see for yourself the bar has officially been reset.
Alabama weather will never fail to surprise you. Our lawns hardly get a chance to have any downtime. This year, save the hard work and aggravation and call Alabama Lawns, the River Region's leader in weed control and fertilization services. What makes Alabama Lawns the River Region's best? It's the people. They have the experience, education, and commitment to customer satisfaction. Ask your neighbors. Alabama Lawns has been the Montgomery Advertiser's Reader's Choice Award winner 14 years in a row. The Alabama Lawn staff is made up of long-term employees and agronomy graduates, and the staff at Alabama Lawns attend annual continuing education classes. It pays to have someone that knows southern grass types and how to keep them green and flourishing. Call Alabama Lawns today at 272-7171 and let them show you real value in lawn maintenance service. Alabama Lawns, the company with black trucks and green lawns.
Don't you love the feeling of coming home to a clean house? Let Southern Bells Cleaning Service get your home in order. Families in the River Region trust Southern Bells because they know Callan and Jesse will show up on time and believe in cleaning the old-fashioned way. They bring all their own supplies and specialize in full-service, residential, commercial, vacant properties, and construction cleanup. Estimates are always free. Call Southern Bells today at 546-0715 or follow them on Facebook at Southern Bells Cleaning River Region.
Mark your calendar. Every first Thursday of the month, Epicure and Jack's Tavern host an all-you-can-eat raw oyster shucking party. Fresh oysters, skilled shuckers, a great crowd. Tickets are required and available at epicureandjackstavern.com/event calendar. Epicure and Jack's Tavern. One night, all the oysters you can handle.
Feeling the pinch on your food budget? You're not alone, but saving is easy every day at Food Outlet, Montgomery, Prattville, and Millbrook. And remember, Food Outlet is priced at cost, plus just 10%. Listen to these specials good through May the 5th. Lean and meaty, baby back pork ribs, $3.38 a pound. Bun length or jumbo bar S. Franks get 4 packages for $5. The 128-ounce size Sunny D drink, $2.97 each. Take home Kellogg's cereals, $3.97 a box. The 10-pound bag chicken leg quarters only $5.95. Get the 8-pack assorted El Monterey burritos, $4.97, and 24-pack cans of Coke products, only $10.79. Food Outlet is locally owned. When you shop here, more of your money stays right here in our community. Open 7 days a week, 7 till 9. Millbrook store open till 10 on Fridays and Saturdays. Check us out on Facebook for more great specials. Food Outlet in Eastbrook Shopping Center, Montgomery. Prattville at 720 East Main. And in Millbrook at 3543 Highway 14. Shop Food Outlet and pay cost plus 10%. The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather. We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid-40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank, serving families and communities since 1906. Proud to be named 16th best performing bank nationally in their asset category by American Banker. Learn more at cbsbank.com. CB&S Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
He actually drove straight into the door first and shattered it. It was quite interesting. You never know what's going to happen. I think they're teenagers. They definitely got the consequence that a lot of people think they deserve.
We're talking about a couple of teenagers who drove through the front door of a Target on a running Ryder lawnmower and then went through the store and were arrested. David, is it possible that they are upset because the new Florida districting map will eliminate Debbie Wasserman Schultz's seat? Hold your applause to the end of the show, friends. That's like, it's just more good news. Yeah.
I got the echo again.
I wish the gas prices were lower, but this is like wonderful.
Yeah, it is. You know, she's had that seat for a long time too, like 30 years, 35 years. Of course, she'll be able to run in a different district like Jasmine Crockett thought she was going to do initially. But I don't know that any other district is really going to tolerate her.
No. I know that district in Florida, and I think she's done.
I hope
which
so.
Is great.
My gosh.
We have 2 callers who have waited patiently to speak with you. You're on with David Blackman. Good afternoon.
Hey, Greg, David.
Yes.
Good to talk to you. You know, you'd have thought when I heard that news about the redistricting and everything that someone done gave me a brand new bass boat. I was so happy. But the question I have is about, I'd like to revisit the oil wells over there. If they get capped, let's say they can only get 50 or 60% of the wells going back. How's that going to affect the good Iranian people over there and their economy?
Well, that's a great point. I mean, it's going to be, it'll have a pretty significant effect on the country, right? And so,
Right.
I mean, that's a terrible thing. But on the other hand, the alternative is to force them back into submission to this brutal regime that has no problem mowing down 30,000 of them in one night, just to hold on to power. So,
and those numbers are comparable to what Hitler and Stalin did to people in World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they haven't been treated very well anyway, and they're living off the skin of their teeth, or was with the IRGC in there, unless you was with the IRGC, and I mean, there's no freedom or anything. At least they'll be free to do what they want and possibly start some kind of other business or something. Or is there any other economic generating machine over there besides the oil?
Not really. Oil and terrorism has been pretty much the only industries in Iran for a long time. And so much of the money has just been stolen by the Ayatollahs and the mullahs. This new junior Ayatollah that's probably dead was worth billions. And, I mean, it's awful what they've done to that country and what the world community has allowed them to do to that country.
Until Donald Trump.
And we have Jimmy Carter and the United Nations to blame for all of it.
Yep. Well, hey, it's a real pleasure. I don't get to talk to celebrities very much other than Greg sometimes. But,
well, Greg is certainly a celebrity. I'm just a guy.
Oh, no. I'm just a facilitator.
Well, you're a smart celebrity guy. Y'all have a great evening.
Thanks for the good words, man. Really appreciate it. Okay, you're on with David Blackman. Good afternoon.
Hey, Greg, David. Hope y'all doing well.
Good.
Listening to the conversation here, and the general consensus throughout this country, Americans, we are filling it at the gas pumps. That's what the main complaint is, okay?
Yeah.
And you brought up a perfect point. We let's fight a nuclear war in 5 years or 5 weeks from now, or we're going to pay over $3 a gallon for gas. But I went back and looked, and 1982, okay, over 40 years ago, we were dealing with the same problem that we're talking about today.
Yes.
We had problems in Iran. We had problems in the Middle East, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's look at the best cars that were getting the best mileage in 1982. Okay, in 1982, I could go to the local Volkswagen dealership and get a Volkswagen Rapid diesel that was getting 50 miles to the gallon. Okay?
Yeah.
I could go get a Dodge Colt that was getting 46 miles to the gallon. With the technology that has increased in the past 40 plus years in this country, how come we can't go to a American-made or foreign-made dealership in this country and buy a vehicle that can, a diesel or a gasoline engine that's getting at least 50 miles to the gallon? We should be able to do that to this day.
Well, we should, except the government regulations on tailpipe emissions and other technology you have to have on a car has consistently denied Detroit the ability to build cars like that. And the Japanese and German automakers are even, they're even more regulated than we are. And so, yeah, it's pretty ironic that I think the best gas mileage you can hope to get on a regular gas or diesel car is in the low 30s instead of the low 50s like it was 50 years ago.
I remember when the diesel cars became very expensive because of the diesel gas was a lot cheaper. Now that's not the case.
Right. Yeah, that's not the case. And of course, diesel engines are more regulated than gasoline engines because of the smoke they produce.
I honestly feel like the American automotive industry, and if I was President Trump, I would really push the fact that to build a more fuel-efficient vehicle, not an EV, because this country is not set up to support an EV. It's just not going to happen. So a gasoline, let's lower the restrictions on diesel engines in this country, okay? If we can go out and dig all the coal we can out of this earth in this country, if we can pump all the oil we can out of this country, well, let's loosen up the restrictions on these diesel engines and let's build more fuel-efficient vehicles.
Make some great points. Thank you so much for the call. David, this morning I was holding up a clip on my phone, and it was 10 guys breaking out of jail in New Orleans. Like, no problem. They were literally skipping out of the jail. And George Soros spent a lot of money to fund Sheriff Susan Hudson's election to that office. Now she's indicted?
She's indicted on several different felonies, including conspiring to facilitate that very breakout. You know, it's just such a classic New Orleans story. They can't elect a mayor or a sheriff in that world that isn't just hopelessly corrupt. And it's been that way for 100 years. And I guess it'll be that way for 100 more.
Yet they come in. I mean, Ray Nagin, Mr. Chocolate City, you know, he's still in jail, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's still in jail. Yeah, that's crazy, but I think he is.
I don't know why this woman thinks she's going to get a better deal than he did. But again, and I'm hoping at some point that George Soros's name will be added to the list of people that the DOJ has indicted for something.
I cannot understand. I just cannot understand how this Department of Justice is paying no attention to George Soros. He's the source of so much of what is really chronically wrong with this country. And we've just let that man destroy our country from within with impunity for 40 years now.
More good news. Oregon forced to delete a whopping 20% of registered voters in a Judicial Watch lawsuit. And why is that, David? Why do they have to be purged?
Well, a bunch of them are dead. A bunch of them are non-existent, and a bunch of them just aren't legal voters. And so for a lot of reasons, because they don't live in the state and, you know, all sorts of different reasons. But this is why, see, Judicial Watch went in there and filed a lawsuit to force them to turn over their voter rolls. Department of Justice has asked every state to voluntarily allow the DOJ to review the voter rolls to do the same thing. And this is why every blue state in America has refused to comply with that request from the Justice Department. You're going to have to force it. If you did this same review in any blue state, you're going to find exactly the same issue. We had we went through a big reform in Texas about 20 years ago and found roughly, again, 20% of the voters on the rolls in Democratic run counties were not legal voters. Yeah. You know, almost every voter, every body in the cemetery was a registered voter in these towns. And it just took a couple of years to clean it all up. And that same thing needs to happen all over the country. But this is why Democrats refuse to comply with that order. They claim, it's privacy and, the DOJ will abuse the records. No, it's because it's going to harm their ability to steal elections. That's what it is.
They ought to try running for election on merit or good ideas. I see none, nowhere. They're just running on Trump hate, and that's becoming a very empty tank.
No, we saw and I want to point out one thing. If you saw the clip with Lee Zeldin and this purple-haired 83-year-old lady from Maryland.
I played it. I stole it from your blog.
Yeah. That is the prime example of what a Democrat is in Congress these days. She knows nothing about the law, nothing about court decisions, nothing about the regulations that EPA operates under. She doesn't know anything that's not in her talking point sheet that she reads. From that her staff prepares for her. And if the Democrats take control of Congress in the midterms, she is going to be the chairperson of the House Appropriations Committee of the United States Congress.
God help us.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It's just a horrible situation.
Well, back to the good Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district is being eliminated in the Florida redistricting. And we have although on the whole, so much good news, encouraging stuff at least in our broadcast today. You'll be joining us Monday.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have time to talk to baseball. Our special guest is in our lobby, and I have here a bank full of phone calls, always at the end, that would like to talk to you. But guys, please call us back on Monday. Don't forget davidblackman.substack.com to subscribe. I think you'll enjoy these broadcasts even more if you do. All right. David, we'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Go Dodgers. Go Yankees. We're all good there. All right. Off to the traffic dungeon at 4:57.
Well, we got a bunch of accidents right now. Taylor Road at Halcyon Summit Drive, that is right before I-85 near AUM. Traffic very backed up there trying to get through. We had some lane blockage. Atlanta Highway in front of Walmart, minor accident. I-85 southbound at South Union got 2 lanes blocked there. And I-85 northbound at Taylor Road got an accident there. Very busy everywhere this afternoon. Please be safe. We will keep you updated on traffic. Come by Thompson Tractor in Montgomery and check out the incredible selection of used equipment at their used equipment sales center. See the machines that get the big jobs done. Thompson Tractor off I-85 just past Chantilly Parkway. Buckle up, Wendell J. Montgomery Skywatch traffic.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew. A key inflation measure jumped in March as gas prices soared. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett says prices are too high but should fall soon.
Futures markets already are saying that this is a temporary phenomenon and prices are going to go down. But we think that we're more optimistic even than futures markets because we've started to account for the fact that UAE left OPEC and they have a massive amount of excess capacity. They could turn the knobs up to 100% right away, and that'll have a huge effect on oil prices around the world.
Compared with a year ago, overall prices rose 3.5%, the biggest increase in almost 3 years. An order coming from President Trump calls for a new government website where people in the U.S. can find and compare private sector retirement savings accounts. The order intended to help more people gain access to retirement plans before next year. On Wall Street at the closing bell, the Dow was up 790 points. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
If you're struggling with ED or your performance is down and your belly fat is growing, listen up. You've got one life. Now is the time to act.
At Montgomery Men's Health, we're not just healthcare, we're your secret weapon. Don't wait another day. Here's why you need to act right now.
Every moment you delay, your condition could worsen. It's not just about sex, it's about your heart, your relationship, your life.
Montgomery Men's Health has years of proven results for ED and low T. We've introduced treatments so exclusive, you'll wonder why you waited.
Procrastination is the thief of time. When it comes to your sexual health, you can't afford to wait. Join the League of Gentlemen who've walked out of our doors with a swagger.
Call Montgomery Men's Health at 334-440-3663 or visit montgomerymenshealth.com. Book your $99 male performance consultation now. Dial 334-440-3663 or visit montgomerymenshealth.com. Montgomery Men's Health, making it happen.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Welcome to Eclectic Coins, Montgomery's largest coin dealer, specializing in buying and selling investment-grade gold and silver coins. And they have a large selection of rare coins and coins from around the world. Visit them at 543 Northeastern Boulevard or on the web at eclecticcoins.com. Eclectic Coins, where collectors who know go.
Hunger doesn't always look the way you think.
but it's closer than you realize. On Saturday, May 9th, join the Budget Bites battle at the Heart of Alabama Food Bank and turn awareness into action. Teams will go head-to-head, creating a full meal for $5 per person or less in just 60 minutes. Every $1 raise provides 5 meals for neighbors in need. Now we need you. Register your team today at hafb.org. Deadline is May 2nd. Be part of the solution. Cook with purpose. Fight hunger one meal at a time.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
At 5.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Louisiana's congressional primaries won't be going forward as scheduled in May as a result of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Republican Governor Jeff Landry on Thursday issued an executive order suspending the congressional primary to give time for state lawmakers to draw new House districts. That came after the High Court on Wednesday struck down a majority black congressional district in Louisiana. The House has voted to fund much of the Department of Homeland Security and bring an end to the longest agency shutdown in history. The bipartisan package had already passed the Senate, and it now goes to President Donald Trump. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 790 points. The Nasdaq rose 219, with the S&P 500 advancing by 73. More details at srnnews.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today, my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-936-5496.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing. If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing industry.
It's time to show Mom how much you appreciate her with a Jenny Lynn's floral creation for Mother's Day. Skip the grocery store flowers and make one quick call. 285-1000. Roses, lilies, beautiful bouquets, and gift baskets designed just for Mom. Call Jenny Lynn's Creations, 285-1000.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by M&M Outdoors. Book your stay today at MNMcampground.com for relaxation at its best. It's easy to find and hard to leave. M&M Outdoors, your home away from home.
We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid-40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Feeling the pressure of high credit card rates? ASE Credit Union has you covered with a low 1.99% APR on balance transfers. Move your balances in March or April and lock in that 1.99% rate through your October statement. Visit ASE Credit Union today. Federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
And welcome back. I want to thank Brent McDonald from Invista Advisors, who moved his segment to a different time so we could have uninterrupted time with our amazing guests. Every year, I am honored to do the voiceovers and narrations for the Gathering of Eagles. And there's only one drawback to being asked to do that. I read these biographies of people who have done incredible things in service to our country, made incredible sacrifices for our country and our freedom. And when I'm done reading about these people and the things they've accomplished, the things they've endured, the sacrifices they made, I feel like I've never done a damn thing. Just, it's a privilege to do it. And today we have one of the Eagles here in the studio with us. We actually have two, but one has chosen to become a silent partner in the broadcast. Colonel Joe Panza, we love you, and we thank you for arranging. Captain William Robinson, United States Air Force retired helicopter pilot, Vietnam prisoner of war, and it's an honor to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you, sir. An honor to be here. A crew chief.
Crew chief.
Not pilot. I rode in the back.
But this whole thing, well, let's start with the beginning. You're from originally from North Carolina. What
North
part?
Carolina. Northeast. I'm 6 miles south of it on I-95 from the Virginia line.
Okay.
And my family wandered across the state line and ended up in North Carolina.
Good for them.
It was a
North
good
Carolina's
place to make
beautiful.
booze.
Love it. You're born in 1943 and you enlisted in the Air Force in November of 61. And I have more respect for people who can do mechanical things than I think, because I have none. My dad was a ship's electrician in the Navy in World War II. He was on 2 ships that got sunk. And I've heard some incredible stories from him. And like so many, they don't talk about that enough. But you rode with.
Yes, we were part of the crew. We had a pilot, co-pilot, a crew chief / flight engineer, and a paramedic on board. And we were the good luck charm because the pilot always liked to have the same guy that worked on the airplane flying with him. You know, that gives him a little bit more comfort in his airplane. Yes.
How long does it take to train to become qualified to be a technician at that level?
I think it's just continuous training. You know, you go through the basics and and you just keep repeating yourself until you feel like you got it. In continuous, it's a continuous education program. You know, I went through helicopter maintenance, simple maintenance in Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas, and then went from there to Altus, Oklahoma, to Osan, Korea, and back to North Dakota, and ended back up in Southeast Asia, all in a little over 3 years.
Where did you go through basic?
At the Lackland Air Force Base.
Lackland, okay. When you signed up, was it your goal to serve, to find something that would, did you have a life goal?
Well, it was kind of looking for a home, you might say. It was tough on me as I graduated from high school at 17, so I couldn't just go down and join up because I'd have to force a family member to sign me up, and I didn't want to put that burden on anyone, so I had to wait till I was 18 to go sign up, and then, of course, I talked to a recruiter before, but couldn't do anything until we signed the papers, and once we signed the papers, he said, "When do you want to go in?" I said, "Yesterday," and he said, "Well, we can't get it that quick," and of course, then that's when I learned that recruiters, weathermen, politicians, and used car salesmen had all graduated from the same school. we started talking about when I was going into service, and I said, well, that's next week. And he said, no, he started saying November. I said, well, if I'm going to have to wait till November, I might as well wait till January. He said, no, I said, you get a better deal in November. What I found out was he had his quota filled for October, September, and December, and he was just looking for somebody for November. And
So he got a better deal.
He got a better deal.
Yeah.
We filled his square,
How about that? From your timeline here, when you enlisted in November of '61, this is prior to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
I know I've watched a ton of biographies and documentaries on that period of time, and there were people pushing JFK for more involvement in Vietnam. But you were not deployed there until April of 1965 after LBJ became president and our engagement in Vietnam increased. You were deployed to Nakhon Phanom Royal Thai Air Force Base?
Yeah, short for Naked Fanny. Well, we were 7 miles from the combat zone is where we were with the Mekong River was considered combat zone, and so we were just 7 miles, you might say, west of the combat zone. We were up in the northeast corner of Thailand.
So when you first went in, we just had advisors over there. There was really no engagement, and then all of that changed. And when you were deployed there, I mean, this is going to a whole different universe and culture from what you were used to, and you're still a young guy. How do you adjust to all of that?
Well, it's just life itself. You just take it one day at a time. I guess it's fortunate. I had spent a year in Korea the year before, so I ended up logging 11 calendar years in the Orient. I went over in 1963 and came back in 1973.
Well, we're going to talk about a specific date, and I believe that is September 20th of 1965.
Yes, sir.
When that day began, did you sense that something was going to occur that day that was going to change your entire life, the course of your life?
Well, we're young enough that it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
I mean, that's one thing that keeps young people going is that they believe all these things are going to happen, but it's not going to happen to them. And I was one of those believers, you know.
But it did happen to you.
It did happen. We were scheduled to come home in July, but for the convenience of the government, we were extended because, I go back and tell the story, that we always get into something before we have the tools to do the job, and then sometimes we don't get the best tools. And, like I said, we were over there with a H-43. It was an LBR airplane, which stood for Local Base Rescue, and we made it into a combat airplane with a piece of quarter-inch steel underneath the pilot and the co-pilot seat, and we sat on our World War II flak vest in the back. And
that was their armor.
And that was it.
Wow.
For all of us.
And that helicopter is known as the Huey, correct?
Pedro is a
Oh.
No, we're not Hueys. We're Huskies.
Huskies.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened on that date? And I'd like you to take us through all of it, please.
Of course, you had to go through the rules of engagement. They were being run from the basement of the White House. And, and like I said, we couldn't even get airborne until we were given permission. Unfortunately, rules of engagement, a pilot could be shot down, and they want to establish contact and verification before they'd let us get airborne. But unfortunately, we lose time because they're already looking for him, and we haven't even left the ground yet. And so, sometimes it took us about an hour and a half before they said, give us the go sign.
That long?
Yeah.
So there was no automatic process where you become aware of a pilot. The permission had to come from the White House?
Everything was running from the White House at that time, It's sad to think that we, like I said, communication reached a point that, field commanders couldn't really make any decisions. They passed it up to their boss, and their boss would pass it up to somebody else. And, like I said, and then, then finally the word would come back down, simple go,
So on that date, you were given permission. You were dispatched to rescue Captain Willis Forby, who was in an F-105. He had been shot down while attacking a railroad bridge near Ha Tin,
right,
North Vietnam.
Yeah, he made, fortunate for the fighter airplanes, they're cooking along about 300, 400 knots, and like I said, they get hit over target, and they can get normally into a safe area, and then jet from there, and then you got a good chance going in and getting him. But like I said, with the time lapse, they were looking for him before we ever got there, and they just sat there and waited for us to get there, and like I said, and we came in, and we were coming over, and once we dropped down through the soup, we homed right into him, and so we were right over top of him in a short period of time. The A-1s that were escort airplanes, they were right there with us, and then next thing you know, the A-1s took a hit in the rocket pod, and the last transmission I heard over the radio was unauthorized disposal of your ordnance in the local area. So we were well armed, well guarded, you might say. But when they were told to leave the area and go drop their rocket pods in the Gulf and come back. And once you look in the eyes of another American, you're not going to leave them behind. We were bingo fueled, which means that we got to get him and go, or we ain't gonna make it. And so everything is happening so fast. And the next thing you know, when we were over top of him, of course, the cable we had on the airplane was too short, so we had to move over away from him and then drop down on the hillside and had to swing the cable over to him. And in that process, in a matter of seconds, of course, they luckily for us, the guys with the guns were up on the hill, so they were shooting down at us, and rather than shooting up, if they'd been shooting up at us, we'd have been all dead. But but by shooting down at us, the rotor head and blades and transmission and everything, and the engine sitting above us took all the hits, and we took a hit in the fuel control, and that airplane sputtered. And I'm here to report that the blades on the H-43 are not good for cutting down bamboo. And reason I know the cable on the airplane, the last 10 feet of it is painted red, so I'm holding red cable, so I got everything we got, and that slowed us down a little bit, but that was, you might say, was my first miracle, to walk away from a plane crash,
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts, knowing that it's going down, there's nothing you can do, especially in a helicopter, right? I mean, they're just, you can't glide those. I had a friend that did traffic in South Florida from a helicopter who survived not one but two crashes. After the second one, he said, "I'm done." I thought that was only something that would happen once, but after the second one, I'm not doing it again. That's the thing with helicopters; they're fun to be in.
Oh yeah. Well, the good thing for us, if we'd have landed on a solid floor, we wouldn't be here to talk. But we landed on the jungle floor, and airplane was still heavy enough. It didn't roll. It just settled down in the bamboo, and like I said, we were able to get out of the airplane safely. It never really quit until we got in there, and my pilot, Colonel Curtis, he was trying to get the engine shut down, and I was leaning over the co-pilot trying to pump up the rotor brake to get the rotors from hitting each other, because they were having a mad fight above us, and splinters and metal going in every direction. We couldn't leave the airplane until we got it all shut down. We catch splinters in our back, you might say. And
we're going to pause your story there. We have to take a break for traffic, and we're going to come back. Now that your chopper has been downed in this jungle that was in North Vietnam, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to pick it up with what happens once you were able to evacuate the machine and what happened after that. This is an incredible story. Our guest, Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired, and not a helicopter pilot, but a
crew chief.
It's a privilege to have him with us. And the most amazing parts of his story are yet to come. So stay tuned here on News Talk 93.1 at 520.
Well, I-85 northbound right before South Jackson Street, we have an accident that has traffic backed up on I-65 from the interchange. If you're trying to merge north or southbound on 65 to 85 north, going to be a slow go. We've got accident vehicles scattered on the left and the right as you move through the center of it to get past. Also got an accident 85 northbound at the ramp to Taylor. Multiple vehicles there, but the good news, they are all off on the right The rightmost lane of the ramp is blocked. And we did have an accident on Halcyon Summit Drive on Taylor. If you're passing AUM up to I-85, it was there. We had a tremendous backup there earlier. You could hear 4 updates. At McKenna Nissan, you can get a 2026 Frontier from 1.9% for 60 months. See David for all the details. It's worth the drive. McKenna Nissan, exit 212 off I-65 in Clanton. Buckle up with Jay Montgomery Skywatch Traffic.
I'm Todd Strange, and I had the privilege of being mayor of Montgomery 2009 to 2019. As mayor, our top priorities were the safety of our city and community development. Unfortunately, in recent years, violence has raised its ugly head. We all have seen what's happening in our community. More has to be done to ensure the safety of Montgomery. For that reason, I'm backing Republican Catherine Robinson for Attorney General. She has stood tall for Montgomery and said enough is enough. Catherine has worked in the Attorney General's office for 10 years. I've seen her lead and help set up the Montgomery Area Crime Suppression Unit and help pass tough new laws to target gang activity. Catherine Robinson cares about Montgomery, and she will work with Coach Strobel to put an end to violent crime and restore law and order. Catherine will deliver. On May 19th, join me in voting for Catherine Robinson for Attorney General.
Paid for by Robertson for Attorney General, P.O. Box 50063, Birmingham, Alabama 35253.
We get this question all the time.
Do you handle that?
Buying or selling a home?
Yes.
Commercial?
Yes.
Land or investments?
Absolutely. Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. One team.
Every real estate move. 334-322-0662.
This is Jennifer Pestricelli, General Sales Manager and co-owner of Blue Water Broadcasting. If you're an experienced sales professional ready for more opportunity, more income potential, and more control over your own success, we should talk. At Blue Water, you'll work with local business owners to develop strategic marketing campaigns across 7 radio stations and a growing digital platform, including social, streaming, and targeted advertising. Outside sales experience is required. Media or digital experience is a plus. If you're ready for a career move that rewards performance, send us your resume today. BlueWaterBroadcasting.com.
The premier place the river region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
It is 5:23 on News Talk 93.1 FM. Our guest for this hour is Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired, who holds a record that no human being would ever want to be in possession of. And we're going to get to that part of his story here in a moment. We're leading up to it. Serving in Vietnam, aircraft, your helicopter shot down while trying to rescue a pilot who had come down. Then your machine is disabled.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
What happened after that, of course, the rules of engagement, we got to get away from the airplane as quickly as possible if we're able, because they're going to come in and blow it up. And so, we got organized and got away from the airplane and made it about a half a mile. And we realized that, that it was still light and it's going to be hard to travel. So we sought hiding and went into hiding, hoping for darkness. And then we'd walk out the other end and be rescued the next day. That was our plan. But unfortunately, we could hear the voices as they got louder and more of them. And next thing you know, we were looking out, and there was anywhere between 100 and 150 standing there with machine guns and machetes. And they identified, they knew where we were. And the pilot looked at myself and Airman Black, who was the other airman on the airplane, and said, "Live to fight another day." We had a little 6-shooter. We could have probably took out 2 or 3 of them, but we were no match for 150, and so we would not advance to the war. And we were taken into captivity at that point, and like I said, and we were marched down the hillside. They were tied us at our around our ankles and arms behind the back, and then drug us through the mountains that way, and then we went down to the local village, and we were put on static display like a prize trophy. You just kind of
put it on display.
Yeah, just and like I said, the people were curious. And we looked, we were a foot tall and 100-pound saber, so it wasn't like we could blend in the neighborhood.
Right.
And so next thing you know, and just like we see on television today, if somebody shows up with a blowhorn, and the people that wanted to shake our hands or touch us now want to beat the hell out of us, and so. And this was a mode of apparatus for the next couple of days as we were paraded from village to village, and just no.
Were you physically assaulted by villagers? Or?
Oh yeah, Well, you know, when you tell them that this guy is responsible for the death of your kid or your family member or something like that, and that hatred goes pretty deep. And so, and about the third or fourth day, you know, they took me out and took my photo, you know, and you looked at the book, that's the photo that they
that's
took.
a book, The Longest Rescue,
Yeah.
and there's a photo on the front cover. Let me, I want to put this on YouTube on our video feed, so let me remove this and hold this up to the camera. That's our guest being held captive, and the book is The Longest Rescue. We'll give you details and give you a link to it on Amazon here for the annual Gathering of Eagles.
Yeah, and then so, you know,
Event.
like I said, that they told us if we saw a camera to look straight into it, and of course I ended up with about knots on the back of my head as they beat on the back of my head to get me to hold my head down. But that was my chance to survive, was that photograph.
Wow.
I learned later it was used for propaganda purposes, and it ended up being made into a Vietnamese postage stamp that was released on the occasion of the downing of a 2000th airplane over North Vietnam. Of course,
They released it as
yeah,
this picture of you as a postage stamp.
as on a postage stamp, and the title of it's "A Man and a Mouse." They were trying to motivate females to join their armed forces, you know, and so you know that, like I said, that they claimed to have shot down 200 F-105s, and of course we didn't build but 623 combat models, so they shot down a hell of a lot more than we built, you know, so they're good.
Isn't that interesting how that works? I understand that you're the pilot from your mission was killed.
Co-pilot. He was. I don't know if some people have seen the movie Rescue Dawn. He was in that movie with Dingler. It's a story about being captured in Laos, and they thought they were going to get overrun, or felt like they were going to get overrun, and they, you know, rumors were that they were going to kill everybody, and so they had a mass escape, and he and Dingler escaped together, and they were. I like to say that he tasted freedom for about 2 weeks before they ran out of food and water and everything they needed, and they were going into villages trying to scrounge stuff, and they were taking turns, and it was Martin's turn to go into the village, and he was essentially killed by a villager when he was trying to find food and water.
All right, you're being paraded from village to village,
Right.
on display, a trophy for the Viet Cong. Did they feed you? Did they?
Yeah,
give you-
we you know, they fed us lightly, you know. Of course, like I said, at that particular time, everything we ate that they cooked and made us sick, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they just, you know, like I said, it's quite of an adjustment. The thing that probably gives me an inspiration, you might say, is one morning, about mid-morning, you know, I was taken out and I was blindfolded, of course, and I was marched out and kneeled down in front of what I was looking at was, I thought, my final resting place. You know, and standing behind me was the two guards. You could see in the shadows that their weapons were pointed at the back of my head, and somebody started talking, and, you know, and next thing I know, you know, I thought I was listening to my trial and their findings, and I was going to be executed, and, you know, and I didn't really think that I'd ever see my 23rd birthday. I thought my life was over at that point. And, you know.
And what other things are you thinking about at a moment like that? Family, girlfriend, any?
No, well, I was thinking about, you know, as I look at it back later, you know, I said, if Al Gore can take credit for internet, I can take credit for speed dial, because me and the good Lord, we were talking often.
That's a great line. I love that. That is awesome.
And you know, and you know, and I guess one of the things that my mother told me when I was a young lad, that said, you know, Billy, you'll never be burdened more than you stand, you know. And sometimes I felt like I was pretty close there, but, you know, next thing I know, something was said and the guards lowered their weapons and lifted me up. And I knew from that point on, I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that I was coming home.
But it didn't happen very
It
quickly.
didn't happen. It was a lot slower than I thought it was going to be.
How slow? You are going to be astonished when you find out what this man has endured. Our guest is Captain William Robinson, who has a record that nobody would want to share. in or try to beat. And we'll tell you about it coming up after we take our next break here. We've got Sky Mosley with local news and Rich's forecast, and then we're back with our guest, Captain William Robinson. It's amazing.
Well, we have a real mess on I-85 northbound just before South Jackson. An accident there. Folks are going through the middle lanes there. Accident vehicles on right and left. Traffic is backed up to the interchange and backed up on 85 northbound to Fairview Avenue. We got a backup on 85 southbound as well. Folks trying to merge onto 85 northbound. And at Taylor Road, got some vehicles off on the right at the bottom of the ramp to Taylor from 85. Very busy traffic everywhere this afternoon. We'll keep you updated. High school students, Trenton State Community College dual enrollment program lets you earn college credit while you're still in high school. Take the first step towards your college journey. Go to TrentonState.edu for more information. Buckle up. Wendell J. Montgomery Skywatch traffic.
You can't control interest rates. You can't control housing inventory. And you definitely can't control what the national news decides to panic about this week. But here's what you can control. You control your timing. You decide when it's the right time to buy, when it makes sense to refinance, and when to tap into your equity to renovate, invest, or consolidate debt and free up monthly cash flow. Real estate decisions aren't one size fits all, and they shouldn't be driven by headlines or social media noise. They should be based on your goals, your finances, and your life. The smartest moves happen when you focus on what you can control and work with someone who helps you see the full picture. Give us a call at Alabama Home Mortgage today at 334-567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
It's Prattville City Fest, presented by Prattville Baptist Hospital, May 1st through 2nd in historic downtown Prattville. Live entertainment, arts and crafts, food, and Pepsi products by signature sponsor Pepsi. Prattville City Fest, presented by Prattville Baptist Hospital, May 1st through 2nd in historic downtown Prattville. It's free.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
News is brought to you by Bath Innovations. Call Bath Innovations today to schedule your free in-home consultation.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Alabama has reached a milestone in bringing U.S. Space Command to the state. Military officials cut the ribbon on the first facility for the command's new headquarters on Wednesday at Redstone Arsenal. This is the first operational facility at Redstone since President Trump relocated the headquarters from Colorado Springs in September. Talissee's historic mill alongside the Tallapoosa River near Thurlow Dam could be headed for redevelopment. Two businessmen have expressed interest in buying the property and turning it into a data center. The proposal has sparked vocal opposition from Tallassee residents. There are now at least 19 data centers already operating or under construction across the state. An execution date has been set for the man convicted of killing two people during a pawn shop robbery in 1998. Governor Kay Ivey has named June 11th as the execution date for 49-year-old Jeffrey James Lee. Lee was convicted of 2 counts of capital murder in the deaths of the owner and an employee he shot while robbing a Dallas County pawn shop. Lee will be executed by nitrogen hypoxia. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
Bath Innovations of Alabama can replace your old bathtub with a low-step shower featuring built-in seating, secure grab bars, and slip-resistant flooring, often installed in as little as 1 day. Call Bath Innovations of Alabama today to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Weather, a service of H&H Carpets, where right now, get a load of this, listen close, you get a house full of carpet for $19.95 installed. Unbelievable. They're located at 6450 Atlanta Highway, just across from Walmart.
Rich Thomas weather.
We've got another storm system on the horizon with more beneficial rain. For tonight, maybe a few spotty showers. Overnight low temperature down to about 56. And scattered showers will be around during the daytime hours tomorrow, Friday, with a high temperature only up to about 67. Then look for periods of rain and thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall amounts possible with some cool air coming in. High temperature only up to about 66 on Saturday. We'll be in the mid 40s Saturday night and Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank, serving families and communities since 1906. Proud to be named 16th best performing bank nationally in their asset category by American Banker. Learn more at cbsbank.com. CB&S Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
This portion of the show brought to you by Clark's Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, ClarkComfort.com, and our guest, Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired. We are at the point in his story, being honored, by the way, for this year's Gathering of Eagles. We've gotten to the point where his aircraft shot down September 20th, 1965, taken into captivity, paraded through villages, beaten up by the locals, moments where guns were aimed at your head thinking you were going to be executed by the Viet Cong. Yet, September 20th, 1965, until he was freed on February 12th, 1973. Friends, that's 2,703 days in captivity. How, in the name of God, did you get through that? We get impatient when we're 2 seconds inconvenienced at the store or some other thing, or there's a delay in traffic. How, in God's name, did you survive this?
Well, we survived on just living one day at a time. You know, I think the song that came out not too long ago, because Live Like You're Dying, you know, you try to fill every day with something, every moment. You never stop learning something or sharing something. Fortunate for us, you know, that once we arrived at Hanoi Hilton, you know, we were basically in solitary confinement, you know, that, and I was very fortunate. I only spent about 8 months in solitary confinement, where some guys spent as much as 4 years. And
wow.
The motivation was, new shoot downs were our lifeline. And, you know, they would ask them how the war was going. They said, can't last 3 more months, but we'll be home for Christmas. And so, you know, that was kind of the theme song we kept going. And I remember one time a friend of mine, the commander, Bell, I asked him, I said, you remember back in the Hanoi, in the Hilton, when you told me that we'd be home, the war wouldn't last 3 more months, but we'd be home for Christmas? He said, yeah. He said, but Robbie, I didn't tell you which Christmas.
Saved on a technicality.
Saved on a technicality.
But the Christmases came and went.
8 of them. Yeah, and I adventured through 8 Thanksgivings, 8 Christmases, and 8 New Years during my captivity. You know, some significant things when we arrived at the Hilton. The 4 of us, my pilot, the guy we were trying to rescue, and the other crew member, and we separated that day, and I didn't see my pilot or the guy we were trying to rescue for 7 years. We went in different directions, and that's how isolation we were.
Captain, I got to tell you, I am deeply regretful for every moment of self-pity.
But, you know, it's the important thing is that, you know, when I went down, I ended up in a little place we call New Guy Village. It's much like the cell that's out at the Enlisted Heritage Hall. And I can remember going in that cell and reaching my arms out, and I could touch the outer walls. And there was a bed about 16 inches wide, about 4.5 feet long, with a bucket at the end of the bed. And that was the first accommodations actually outside of the jungle area.
Wow.
And next thing I know, they handed me a short shirt, a long shirt, short pair of pants, long pair of pants, looks like pajamas, a bar of soap, tube of toothpaste, a toothbrush, a hand towel, and a mosquito net, and a metal cup. And that was my worldly possessions for the next 8 Thanksgivings, 8 Christmases I knew. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, that I remember the Vietnamese wore sandals, and eventually they gave us a pair. We walked around barefooted for about 4 months. But, you know, then fortunate for us, they were like flip-flops when they were walking, you could hear them. And as soon as the silence, a voice rang out identifying himself as Colonel Robinson Reisner, the senior ranking prisoner of war at that time. And I, as a 22-year-old, the first words he told me was, "Be prepared to die for your country." And I'm thinking, I've been through all this crap, and you want me to... so okay, and that's a good thought to put in the memory bank.
Wow.
But the important thing he did say is that if we survive, we must return home with honor. And you're saying you had two common goals, if you're going to die, you're going to die with honor. If you're going to live, you're going to live with honor. And that was in our scorecards,
Did your captors try to torture that information out of you, things that could have helped them in some way?
Well, they tried, but, like I said, it wasn't very long until they realized that we didn't have any military information because, within 24 hours, anything you had was old. And so then they started using us for propaganda purposes. They wanted us to write letters to the president. We wanted to write it to all the different people, the radio stations, TV stations, anybody, and wanted us to, condemn the war, and things like that. But that was their main objective, is use us as a propaganda tool. That what had happened at the end of the Korean War, they used the prisoners of war who were beaten down to nothing and forced them to write letters, and they used them mostly to motivate their own people. And that's what they were trying to get us to do, was to not only, try to get a few out, but the biggest thing was to motivate their people. See, we got them wore down. They're on our side now. And so, we fought them in every way we could. And, we could only fight them with our bodies, and you can only fight so long, and then you have to figure out another plan. And fortunately for us, it's amazing how many different airplanes that Clark Kent flew in the Vietnam War. And when we were forced to write, red buttons, everybody we could think of, flew airplanes. I remember I get called in interrogation one time. They wanted know more about this Clark Kent fella. And I'm explaining to them. They said, well, one minute he's flying in the Marine Corps, next minute he's in the Air Force, and then they said he's in the Army, he's in the Air Force. What does he do? I said, he's a Roman ambassador that just goes around and checks on the morale of the troops.
Wow. And
we got away with it for a while, and like I said, we just subtly mentioned people that anybody on the outside. And fortunate for us, there was one company, the L.A. Times of all places.
Really?
They said they're not going to publish this garbage, and the rest of the people in the country followed suit, and so a lot of that propaganda never made it to daylight because of one person standing up saying this is not right, and so we can't verify it in any way, and these are. And so, there was a little bit of integrity left. I have a friend of mine who's passed away now, but he was his thing was written at the Brussels Trent when they were having those things in Brussels, and they read his confession, you might say. As a result of that, somebody told the Vietnamese they'd been had. And one American looking for his Pulitzer Prize turned Nels Tanner in. As a result of that one newspaper individual, Nels Tanner spent 22 months in leg irons.
Oh, man.
He got out 15 minutes a day for 22 months. So sometimes when you think about the bucket of manure you're in, somebody else is in a bigger bucket.
Yeah.
We
all have bad days, but you can always find somebody who's got a bigger situation than yours.
The problem wasn't torture, because you felt like you controlled the situation. We were given guidelines. The guidelines are the code of conduct, but the biggest thing is that our seniors realized that we would, we could be forced in. They'd simply give us the direct order not to sustain permanent injury, and so they know when to say when and control the situation. And then you weren't going to be any good to anybody if you gave up the ship. So, like I said, you took port till you could control it, and you wouldn't go past that point because you didn't want to go to a point of no return and give up something that may harm somebody else. That's the biggest fear. It was not the pain that you went through, but if you were to say something that caused somebody else to get hurt. You know, that's kind of a motivating factor, you know, that.
Captain, we're going to take our next break, and I'm sorry the time is flying so quickly, but we're going to come back to the end of 2,703 days in captivity and how that news came to you and what it was like to be free again, how you came back to the, you know, all the adjustments you had to make and so forth. All of that in our last segment with Captain William Robinson, Air Force retired, and just an amazing human being.
Stanley spent his life in the saddle, wrangling whatever life threw at him, but nothing prepared him for the fight against low T and ED. Shane practically hunched him over. Bonbon pills just gave him a headache. He begged for a lifeline. Well, maybe it's over. Montgomery Men's Health said no. Medical conditions, old age, there's hope. This is about real treatments. Science, not one-size-fits-all guesswork. Montgomery Men's Health was designed for men who hate going to the doctor. Personalized plans, cutting-edge treatments, overseen by an actual urologist and providers that take the time to listen. With low T and ED treatments others only dream about, we fight like hell to get you back in the saddle. Because every second you wait, your condition could worsen. Act now. Don't let time slip away. Dial 334-440-3663 or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. Your consultation is only $99, including blood work. And you know your T level before you leave. Montgomery Men's Health. Making it happen.
And this is a painting of my grandfather, the only one he ever had made.
Sometime, take a close look around your house.
This sewing machine was my Aunt Mary's.
If you have possessions that are irreplaceable, consider this. Each year, over 65,000 American homes suffer a fire due to an electrical problem. Are our possessions safe? To know for sure, call Crosby Electric, your exclusive provider of Current Safe, the world's foremost home diagnostic system. Using high-tech equipment, Crosby Electric will check your hidden wiring, panel box, light switches, and electrical outlets to pinpoint potential problems and make sure your things are safe.
Oh, my daughter's second-grade art project. I'd die if something happened to this.
Some things can't be replaced by insurance. Don't wait another day. Call 272-2085 for an in-home no-obligation assessment or visit CrosbyElectric.com. Don't just think it's safe. Know it's safe.
Now you'll be safe with Current Safe. I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
I suffered with plantar fasciitis for almost 20 years. I would try drugstore insoles and supports.
If you suffer with plantar fasciitis, we know the search for pain relief can feel like a hopeless ordeal.
I've been through surgeries, foot injections. I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life.
At the Good Feet store, we hear stories every day of all kinds of cheap inserts, expensive shoes, and other failed remedies people have tried that just didn't work.
I was trying all different things. Not a single one worked. And then I was driving past the Good Feet store, and I thought, why not? Give it a try. They wanted to make sure that they gave me the right arch support for my feet. Then it was like, okay, this is different. These make a difference.
I'm so glad I met Good Feet. It changed my life.
Don't lose hope. Give the Good Feet store a try.
We're located at 7341 East Chase Parkway in the shops at East Chase. Now hiring.
Don't miss the River Region Healthy Living Expo happening Thursday, May 14th from 10 to 2 at the shops at East Chase. From senior health to total wellness, it's all here and admission is free. Learn more in the Check It Out section at WAKA.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hi, this is Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop. Listen every Saturday to Winning Wellness and learn from experts in different fields of science and technology how nutritional supplements can help you.
Listen to Winning Wellness every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
So, how does a man spend 2,703 days of his life captured, living in the Hanoi Hilton, and on this particular date still have such a great sense of humor? Our guest is Captain William Robinson. You're an amazing man. I'd like to know, captivity started September 20th, 1965. February 12th, 1973, Operation Homecoming. How far in advance did you find out that you were coming home at last?
Well, we knew something was up. Like I said, we knew peace talks were going on in Paris, and next thing you know, everything just shut down and all hell broke loose, and we had 11 days of bombing over North Vietnam, and I'm proud to say we dropped more bombs in an 11-day period that's ever been dropped in the history of mankind.
Wow.
Not to advance the war, but secure the freedoms of some 500-plus Americans being held in captivity in Vietnam. The first B-52 crew that showed up, we asked them what was going on, and their simple words to us, "We come to take you home."
Wow.
And so that was the beginning, you might say. And after the bombing, the Vietnamese came back and sat down with the Americans, and on the 26th of January, at the same time it was being read here in the United States, it was being read to us in the prison camp that there would be an incremental release starting on the 12th of February with the POWs and the combat troops coming out together over the period of time, with the last people coming out on the 29th of March, 1973. During that period of time, and we were started. I came out on the 12th on the second airplane. We had the sick and wounded on the first airplane, and then in order to shoot down from that point on. A friend of mine was asked, and says, "Could you identify freedom?" And he simply said, "Doors with inside knobs." And you think about the opportunities each of us have each and every day, but just being able to walk up to a door and turning a knob and going through and see the adventures on the other side. I didn't have that knob for 2,703 days, as you mentioned earlier. And so,
What was your weight when you were captured, and what was your weight when you were released?
I was being threatened to be put on the Fat Boy program. I weighed 236 when I was shot down, and I got down to about 150 pounds by the time I got back. But they started feeding us up to later on. But I was what was referred to as an easy keeper. And you people have animals. They understand that some animals, no matter what you give them, they don't gain weight. And some animals can look at food and gain weight, and I was one of those kind of guys. I can look at food and gain weight. But,
and
what
was the first? What was your wish when you finally knew you were coming home and could have something other than this 2,700 day nightmare? What was your first food?
Well, first food was anything we wanted. There was a smorgasbord there. When we landed at Clark, and and I remember one of my friends, Joe probably remembers, Leroy Stutz. They asked him what he wanted. He said, "I want a dozen eggs." They said, "Well, we'll fix you 6, and then you can come back and get the other 6." Right? And all of us wanted something different. We wanted to taste everything in there. We didn't want to leave. It was just just wanted to start off with something and move on to something else. We didn't want a lot of one thing. We would want a little bit of everything.
Who was there to greet you?
General Chappie James was our escort officer, and of course, he was a 3-star general at that time, but he had been, and a good part of him, he had been meeting with the families of prisoners of war, and they were almost on first name basis, and he could tell us about our own families, and of course, when we got to the Philippines, we had a phone call.
Your family was notified that you were MIA.
Right.
When did they find out that
2.5 years after I was captured.
Wow.
Even though I had written a letter home, the Air Force did not agree with it. They said, "Well, we can't verify this letter." They said, "Well, we'll just take it." And my dad said, you can, if you want this letter, you can come make a copy of it. They did actually come to my house and make and dust it for prints to try to see if they could, anybody else that had touched the paper, for purposes. But officially, it was 2.5 years before I was name was released.
And you're back, and you elected to stay in the Air Force.
Yes.
That to me is amazing. That I would think.
Well, all my buddies were staying in. Then we knew we didn't stand a chance of being stationed together again like that, but we knew we'd be running into it over the next few years, and so.
I would imagine the camaraderie of that relationship would be very important to healing and moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We had strength in ourselves, and like I said that.
Well, Captain William Robinson, our time has come to a conclusion, but it's been an honor.
Yeah, but I'd just like to say one thing. The important thing to me is the fact that I got the hero's welcome that my brothers and sisters didn't get. Yeah. They were due a lot more than they got, and to me, it's always a sad moment to me in the American history when we forgave those who ran before we as a nation stood up and said thank you to those who served. And I like for my brothers and sisters out there today to remember that we care. And we, as a result of our action, we have made this country into the best in the world. And the ones that are serving in the military today have a lot to look up to the heroes that the shoes they walk in that were walked in by other heroes throughout long before they arrived.
You're amazing. And we're grateful.
Thank you, sir.
We'll wrap it up in a minute.
Well, my goodness, we had an accident earlier, I-85 northbound just before South Jackson. Traffic backed up onto I-65 north and southbound through the interchange because of this one. Traffic was moving through the center lanes. We're hoping they're about to open that up. Could be open now, but if you're in that backup, that's the problem. Got a new accident, South Boulevard in front of Baptist South. Please watch out for emergency vehicles there. And I-85 northbound, off on the right on the ramp to Taylor, had an accident there that we believe is still being worked. It is so busy out there this afternoon. Please slow down, be safe. We'll keep you updated. At Thompson Tractor, their new service commitment includes next-day parts and 2-day repairs. That ensures you stay up and running without missing a beat. Thompson Tractor off I-85 just past Chantilly Parkway. Buckle up, Wendell J. Montgomery Skywatch traffic.
I'm Todd Strange, and I had the privilege of being mayor of Montgomery 2009 to 2019. As mayor, our top priorities were the safety of our city and community development. Unfortunately, in recent years, violence has raised its ugly head. We all have seen what's happening in our community. More has to be done to ensure the safety of Montgomery. For that reason, I'm backing Republican Catherine Robinson for Attorney General. She has stood tall for Montgomery and said enough is enough. Catherine has worked in the Attorney General's office for 10 years. I've seen her lead and help set up the Montgomery Area Crime Suppression Unit and help pass tough new laws to target gang activity. Catherine Robinson cares about Montgomery, and she will work with Coach Strobel to put an end to violent crime and restore law and order. Catherine will deliver. On May 19th, join me in voting for Catherine Robinson for Attorney General.
Paid for by Robertson for Attorney General, P.O. Box 50063, Birmingham, Alabama 35253.
Well, kids, that's our show for today. And now, in the words of Mr. Cole Porter, every time we say goodbye. Good.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
Hello, I must be going. I must be going.
So long, farewell, I'll be to say goodbye. I leave and heave a sigh and say goodbye.
Enjoy the show.
Goodbye.
It's time to go. Goodbye, till our next show. Goodbye.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Broadcasting